This is the D6 generation with your hosts, Craig Gallant.
Wrong! If you're getting any compensation, it's not charity!
Russ Wakeland. You put me on a boat with frickin' dragons attacking me and whatnot? Now we're talking. And Raef, Hollywood Granger.
Now that's Jimmy Django right there.
With contributions from Total Fangirl.
Vampires do not sparkle.
And our loyal listener.
One game is very like another till the D6G reviews it, brother.
Welcome to another edition of Rapid Fire, the roundtable discussion of all things gaming, coming at with the speed of a jet plane, winging its way to the dream game destination of your choice. Today's edition is brought to you by Rack and Roll Gaming, shouting out to Anthony and Paul, and they want to remind you to game louder. I'm Keekly McNardigan, your host. Today, as always, our panelists are Russ, Edith Wharton Wakeland, Raef Amelia Earhart Granger, and with a special guest, owner, manager, director, and all-around dog's body of Geek Nation Tours, Teras and Ais Neen Cassidy. Let's begin. Issue number 1. Travel is movement of people between relatively distant geographical locations for any purpose and any duration, with any means of transportation. Travel also includes relatively short stays between successive movements. The term travel originated from the Middle English word travail. Question: what is the number one travail mentioned most often by travelers traveling abroad? Vasco da Gama Granger.
Oh, crap. I should have turned left.
Sir Walter Raleigh Wakeland.
Insufficient leg room.
John Cabot Cassidy.
Move on.
Yeah. Wait a second. Wait, I got an itch here. Oh my God! It's bed bugs. Oh, how disgusting! Listeners all over the world will have that creepy, crawly phantom itch feeling for hours, thanks to me. Wow. Issue number 2. Europe is the world's second smallest continent by surface area, covering slightly more than 10 million square kilometers, or about 6.8% of the Earth's land area. Europe is the third most populous continent after Asia and Africa, with a population of the 731 million, or about 11% of the world's population. Given that Europe is generally such a small place in both territory and population, it is amazing that so many of the world's board games each year are designed by Europeans. Who is one of the most prolific game designers with over 200 titles to his name? Randall's Russ.
Reiner Knizia.
Randolph Raef.
Corey Kineska.
Tuber Teras.
Captain Britain.
Reinar Knizia is, of course, the answer, which makes Russ, you correct, and Raef and Teras, you are wrong! The line forms over there, and don't block it. Anyway, Issue number 3. There are as many different ideas of a nice vacation as there are people to dream them up. Some people enjoy visiting relatives. Others like to go to dangerous or exotic locations or places of historical significance. Some people even may enjoy traveling for the purposes of playing games. Question: what is the technical term for travel to destinations specifically for their connection to a history of violent death? Ooh. Martha Rendell Raef.
I have no idea.
Vera Renzi Russ.
Guillotine Travels.
Jane Tupan Terrace. The professional stumbles. The answer, gentlemen, is Thanatourism. Thanatourism. Wow. Named after the Greek god of death. That makes all three of you wrong. Dead wrong. I would have also accepted dark or quiet tourism, although those are more generic terms, and thus you don't score any points for specificity. Issue number 4. In geometry, a cube is a three-dimensional solid object bounded by 6 square faces, facets, or sides, with 3 meeting at each vertex. The cube can also be called a regular hexahedron and is one of the 5 Platonic solids. The cube is dual to the octahedron. It is cubical symmetry. It is special by being a cuboid and a rhombohedron. Question: despite all of these fascinating properties, what is the most boring thing that can be done with a cube? Herman K.H. Wheel Wakeland.
Make a seat.
Carl Gauss Granger.
Swallow it, and then I can't say it.
Arthur Cayley Cassidy.
Rubik's hit.
Well, you're all wrong. According to several very scientific online polls and taste tests, the most boring thing that anyone can do in life is watch grass grow. Therefore, by process of affinity, the most boring thing you can do with a cube is basically buy a chia cube, seed it, and watch what happens. I would have also accepted Agricola. That's it for now. Thanks for listening, and good night.
This episode of the D6 Generation is brought to you by
Myriad Games, the friendly professional gaming store of the D6 generation.
And by Battle Foam, protecting your army so you don't have to.
And by Lone Wolf Development. Take your game to the next level.
And the War Store, bringing the war to your door since 1999, and that is for a decade or more.
And by Audible. Try the service, get a free book, and support the show. All by visiting audibletrial.com/D6G.
And Wargame Soldiers and Strategy Magazine, making historical wargaming less scary and more fun.
And by Geek Nation Tours. Rise up and join the Geek Nation, touring the world at geeknationtours.com.
Hello!
Hello.
Yo, what's up?
And welcome to episode 81. Can you believe it? 81 of the D6 generation. I'm Russ Wakeman.
That would be 9 times 9.
Very good.
9 times, yeah. 9 times 9.
9 times 9.
Who else is with us tonight besides me?
Well, there's
Craig
Raef
Gallant,
Hollywood Granger.
I'm sorry.
All right. Good. Now that we all talked over each other, well, you think we'd be getting better
I'm
at
Craig
this
Gallant on medication.
after 81 episodes. But no, nope. Still just as amateur sounding as ever. Excellent.
I'm Raef Conqueso Granger.
All right. So tonight's show, we're going to be talking with our friend from the Geek Nation Tours.
Teras.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. We're going to learn all about how geeks come together and travel in small groups around the world. Should be interesting.
I have to say, too, I was a little bit...
It's safer.
I was concerned, and I was like, oh, man, Geek Tours, really? Could that work? And, man, yet again, great interview. Great interview.
Entrepreneurship at its finest.
Yeah.
And after that...
There's a niche for you and your dream.
It's out there somewhere. Now, also, after that, we're going to bring back a segment...
depends on what your dream is.
Well, it does. We're going to bring back mulling mechanics.
Casing puppies in cement. That probably isn't out there somewhere as a valid job description.
We're going to bring back...
I like mulling
What are we
mechanics.
doing? Oh, that's right. Euro games.
Mulling mechanics. What makes a Euro game? Not about Euro games, but what makes a Euro game as compared to, say, an American game or some other flavor of game? How do you know?
Get it. I know.
All right.
More Z's than come in Scrabble.
That could be it. I'm not sure, but we'll find out more about that later.
As much wood as comes in Scrabble, but more Z's.
Now, before we get to all that, we should... You know what it's time for? It's time for another contest.
Yeah, well, I mean, good God, we haven't given away anything in a month.
I know, right? People are going to be like, "Where's the payback? Where's the love from the DC?" And here it is. It's right here, right now. And look, and this is probably one of the shortest writing contests we've had in a while. Okay,
Yeah.
All we need is a haiku.
Which is way shorter than your average tweet.
In fact, not only is
no
that
kidding.
all we need, that's all we want. Okay?
That's right.
No
you get
8-page
nothing
essay,
but one haiku.
because-
We will read nothing. You can't explain it before you write it.
Or
You can't
after.
explain it after you write it. You can't include one sentence giving us the theme or the setting. All
I like
you
it.
get is one haiku.
Now, let me inspire you, because a good haiku translates all its meaning in those 3 little lines. But
That's right.
let's...
Should we tell them what a haiku is?
What-
I mean,
Well,
are we assuming?
I don't really know what
Okay,
they are.
why don't we we'll let the English teacher go ahead. Craig, what exactly is a haiku as we're defining it for this contest?
Right. Well, a haiku traditionally is a Japanese poem that deals primarily with nature as a theme. Usually includes a word that's called the cut word if it's a compare and contrast haiku, or it's a conclusionary word if it's the end of the third line. And quite often will include a single word, which in Japanese happens more often than English, where a specific thing also signifies a season in which you're talking. The haiku actually represents an entire season. It is basically it's always 3 lines, and in Japanese it's 5 sound word, 7 word sounds, 5 word sounds, and in English we translate that into 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. So you have 17 syllables
Right.
to win this prize.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you want to get really fancy, the last line should sort of reinforce the idea expressed in the first line.
Correct, after the cut word, if
Right.
you're using that particular form.
But you can do whatever you like here, if we think it's cool. Now, but here's the inspiration, because what we're going to give away here, you may have heard our newest sponsor, one of our newest sponsors. We got lots of new sponsors today. But in the last episode, our new sponsor was
Whatever
War
means
Gamma.
it pause.
Right. War Gamma.
War Gamma.
And
awesome resin terrain.
Fantastic. They have resin terrain. They have kicked up models for riding wolves, all kinds of craziness. We have pretty much
like a space knight, maybe Viking-oriented space knight riding giant wolf, for instance.
Right. So we have a box that is the entire Wargamma line as about a month ago.
No way.
Now they've added some new stuff, but we've got the entire. So you go to their website and you look at their Wargamma line. Pretty much everything you're looking at there, we have in a giant box. Okay. Yep. We got the crashed pod. We've got the bunker. We've got the space wolf. We've got wolf, large Viking style wolf from space. Right. We've got the pod with the little tentacles sticking out in all directions. All that stuff. We've got little bases. We got all kinds of stuff from Wargamma. Amazing terrain, amazing resin. Go look at their website. Check it out. We're going to give this all away in this one contest.
Wow.
We're going to break it up into 3 little piles, and the first top 3 haikus will each get a little pile of loot. Right.
Yep.
So what you need to do, it's a haiku, and generally you probably want to theme your haiku around the idea of terraforming or a fancy world of terrain,
an alien landscape or a historical fantasy landscape, something along those lines.
Go to the Wargamma site and look at their stuff and let it inspire you to write that 575 masterpiece.
That's right.
Right. And send contest entries to where, Granger?
Send them to contest@the D6generation.com.
And make sure in the title of your email it should say Wargamma Haiku.
That's all we want.
Haiku. And feel free to Google the word haiku to get the spelling right.
So, Russ, you got to see the box of goodies?
Oh, yeah. Craig and I have looked over. Before anybody.
It's insane.
And this is just,
it is? Does it just look so cool
beautiful.
or what?
So you all know out there, before anybody can become a sponsor of our show, we must review the goods. And so we asked Wargamma to send us stuff, and we do. We don't keep anything. We always give it away. But we were so impressed. We're like, oh, you guys got to come on the show and be a sponsor. This is fantastic. So we're very excited about it. I would love to keep it, but unfortunately we don't. That's not how we roll. We send it out.
And I would love to keep those wolves from space.
Oh, all of it's good. I mean, those little pools, like little pools of goo, all kinds of craziness. Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So send in your haikus. You'll have enough stuff to fill up a table pretty much with this stuff. It's crazy stuff.
It's awesome.
Now, one more thing before we get on to achievements in gaming, we have a couple of announcements we should probably mention. First of all, don't forget our big Play by Mob event.
That's right.
Now we haven't decided exactly what we're doing, but Craig has emailed me some fantastic ideas that are just going to be fantastic. And if
I like that too.
Start to churn.
It's going to be awesome. So, Play by Mob, Gen Con 2011, Friday, noon o'clock. Okay?
Noon o'clock.
Go to the Gen Con website there. Go to your little event registration. Look for D6 in the subject. You'll find our event. Make sure you sign up for it. We have slots for 100 people. So, we've got 50-some slots left right now.
You don't leave us hanging, man.
So
Don't make us work to have empty room.
Well, it should be more than enough for people. Hopefully, it's enough for everybody. But you probably want to sign up. It is free. All it costs is Gen Con admission. So you might as well get in there and come and visit us. And it's also the only time at Gen Con we will guarantee that all of us will be in one spot. The rest of the time,
pretty much.
We're not sure what's going to be happening there. So that's that. So make sure we'd love to see you there. If you're at Gen Con, please say hi. Oh, and also we have a slight error. A little errata, if you will.
Okay, all right.
Back in episode 80, we reviewed Stronghold, the big castle siege game with sort of Euro-like mechanics. Remember that? And in that game, a couple listeners caught an error that we've been playing wrong the whole time, and that could have a big impact on the game. So I'm really excited to try it again with this correction, which is we talked about you build little decks of cards for firing your siege equipment at the castle.
Yeah.
And I erroneously said that whenever you fire a catapult or a ballista or whatever, the card that you turn over, it's a miss, you put it in the discard pile. But if it's a hit, you put it in the discard pile also. That's incorrect. If it is a hit, it goes back into the machine's deck, which means hits never leave the deck, which means the machines range in over time and get more accurate. So after 3 or 4 turns of the game, the siege equipment's hitting almost every shot. Pretty nasty.
Now, does that change the perception that the attacker is behind the 8 ball?
It might. Now, I haven't
or
tried
the defender,
since,
the defender.
Well, we've perceived, it's been our experience the attacker has never won.
Oh, the attacker. I did get it right. Okay.
So the fact that the attacker's siege equipment should be more accurate than we've been playing it may tip the tide to make it a little more. Now, the folks who emailed us did say they still feel like the attacker has a slight disadvantage, but it's not as pronounced as we seem to have experienced so far.
Okay.
They seem to think it's like 60-40 defender's favor and win-loss ratio. So we've been experiencing 0% attacker wins. So this could be a huge thing. And we've had some very, very close games where that kind of stuff could really have made the difference. So I'm anxious to try it again now with the corrected rules. So just wanted to throw that up there front, make sure we're all ready to rock on that.
Yeah.
Oh, also, big news, the Lost Chapters by June 20th. Right? The Lost Chapter deal, the annual deal, will be coming to an end.
That's right.
So what does that mean, Craig?
That means that the annual deal will get you a full year of Lost Chapters from the moment you join, but you also get the entire back catalog. So right now that would be 10. That's 5 months of Lost Chapters that you're going to get for free. Right. That's a total of 17 months of Lost Chapters for the price of 12. But that deal is getting a little too sweet for our bank account to bear. And so we're going to stop the year subscriptions. And we will have subscriptions that come back in another form in a few weeks or months. Yeah. But right now we're going to stop that. So if you're not getting the subscription, you can still totally do it by the week, by the episode, or by 2 episodes. If you want to do that, that option is always going to be available. Or we think it'll always be available. But right now, what's going to happen is on the 20th. So when you get this, you're probably looking at, you've got probably a little less than a week if you listen to this as soon as it drops.
Right.
And you'll get a chance to get those.
Basically, you're going to get. Normally you get 24 episodes for the annual subscription. For $24, you get 24 episodes. But for this deal, you're going to get 10 back episodes, which will give you 34 episodes.
Dang.
For the price of 24. Right. Now, if you've already been subscribing for a while and you have all these episodes, you can buy them individually. There's no big deal here, no thing, but that's the deal. We're going to come back with some other subscription stuff later, as Craig said. But for now, that's the deal. So get in there quick. If you've been thinking about it, hemming and hawing about it, now is the time to get all caught up and be ready to go for a year.
Once you go through the steps, which are on our website, and a whole bunch of people emailed me, by the way, Russ, I forgot to tell you guys that, where they would be like, you're right, I checked out the website, it was easy as pie, pun intended, and they goes right into their iTunes or whatever their podcatcher is, and they were happy they did it.
Excellent.
It was a snap.
So please try it.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing on DACA too.
So
people
Craig,
like that it's just dropping in.
Craig, what is it time for now?
Now it's time for Achievements in Gaming.
There we go, Achievements in Gaming. And Raef, who is Achievements in Gaming brought to us by today?
Brought to you by Matt Rendar. Just wanted to let everyone know about the events I'm going to be running at the War Store weekend. October 7th through the 9th. I'm going to be running, well, not me, but Matt's going to be running demos of Warlord Games Black Powder. 2 big games using the famous horse and musket rules. Cool. First game is a French on British Napoleonic Wars battle, Clash at Dion. The battle is a fictional British attack at a French town in northern France. Also, with the Black Powder rules, I'm going to be running a big Zulu Wars battle, Assault on Dwyer's Drift. A fictional Zulu attack on a British mission located deep in Zulu land. So, if you are interested, grab your Henry Martini or your musket and come on down to the War Store weekend, October 7th through the 9th. Miniatures and terrain will be supplied. See you there.
Wow. A meaty but excellent shout-out. All right, so Craig, what games have you been playing since last time we spoke?
Not as many as some.
All right.
My Descent group met again. And it's funny.
How's that working out?
It's working out okay.
Yeah, you sound a little lukewarm on it.
Yeah.
Well, no, I still enjoy gaming with those guys, but it seems like things are it was a little hard to get everything started up the other day, and it seems like we're all not really enjoying the encounters on the way to the different things, and
oh dear,
so it's intriguing.
Is it the outdoor encounters that are not so fun?
Yeah.
See, it's funny because Sea of Blood is the same thing with the water encounters. For some reason, there's a psychological, these aren't part of the, main game, so let's just rush through them and get to the dungeon kind of thing.
Well, I don't know if that's the deal or if it's just, I don't know. That could very well be the deal.
I don't know. It's interesting. We had that problem too. Not sure what that is.
It's weird. But,
like recently or back in the day, Russ?
Back in the day a little bit. I mean, I tried to make it fun because to me it's more of a story than an actual mechanic of, I know, of course, we're competing against the points, but it's like the heroes look at that as like we can't really make a lot of a conquest on this little adventure thing, so it's kind of a pain. But for the Overlord, it's very important because he can make a lot of, he can kill the heroes and get some conquest on it. So it's kind of like more one-sided, I guess. I don't know.
I think that's probably where a lot of the friction comes in because as a hero, there's really not very much at all. You're fighting for some gold, basically, is it? There isn't any conquest you can get. Meanwhile, you're getting killed, and I think if they were, I think they're built to be sort of a speed bump.
Yeah.
But they're designed much more difficult than a speed bump, I think, should be psychologically anyway.
Mm-hmm.
At least the ones we've gotten to have been really difficult, bogged down. You eventually just run away because you're getting your ass kicked. And
Okay.
And they take the amount of time as a level of the dungeon, so I kind of feel like if the heroes could get as much conquest as they get in a dungeon level, it kind of would work. It would not be a big deal.
Exactly. If it just happened to be, it happened on the way to the dungeon, but it was the value of a dungeon, or at least that first level of a dungeon, I think that would be totally different. But instead, you go in going, okay, here we go. This is going to suck. And I mean, and they've always got special rules, and it's very it seems to be as difficult, if not more difficult, than a dungeon level for very little payoff at all as the hero.
Yeah, Dave and I have talked about some kind of way to house rule to give that a little more bonus for the hero. I'm not sure, but that's the only problem with those campaigns. Otherwise,
but it's still fun playing with those guys.
Cool.
And Dystopian Wars, I played a land game, which, as I believe you did also, Russ.
Yes, I like the new land stuff. It's awesome.
That it's unbelievably cool because it doesn't feel like you're playing Dystopian Wars, the boat game, on land.
No, it really doesn't, and it's weird because the rules are identical essentially, so you think you would be, but the pieces are so different. Like the bombards, there's nothing like that in the water. And you totally feel like you've got artillery now. You totally feel like
things can stop, which is totally different.
Right.
So you're not thinking, I've got to constantly move forward, and
right. You're more maneuverable than a boat, which makes sense.
Yeah, and there's hills that you're actually going up on top of, as opposed to mountains. I mean, islands you just have to go around. So the way terrain works is different. The way your models work is different. It seems more brutal. Things die more quickly.
Well, they do have less damage points, it seems like, per model. But that makes sense too, because ships are usually bigger than tanks.
Right.
But.
No, I loved it. I
like
was
it too.
very, very, very happy with the way it worked.
Did you get your stuff painted up at all yet, or?
No, we were both unpainted. I literally assembled mine that day and got them on the table. So bought them and put them together.
We actually had a listener, Tajo, come and watch. He said he was desperately disappointed. He came and watched me play a game, and it was probably the first game I played in years with an unpainted army.
Yes.
I did apologize, Tajo, and I apologize again. Next time you come,
you let him down.
Sweden or wherever it is you came from.
Nice.
I will paint my models. So then, did we talk about our control mission?
No.
I thought we did.
Oh wait,
time.
the Russ and Craig one.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did. We kind of breezed over it, but we did.
Okay, good. So that was so we played that.
Yep.
And then I had John and Joe come over last night, and we played, or Friday night, and we played Uncharted Seas, which is awesome.
Oh, hey, nice.
Another game I love to play. We played Land Grab, which is hilarious. That's where all the fleets are rushing to the middle where there's an island, and you dump off Marines, and they're all fighting each other. And once again, the dwarves were late to the party, and I played the Ralgard this time, and Joe still played the elves, and we were beating the crap out of each other on the island, which happened to be a Parthenon model from Greece.
Nice. Well played, sir.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
And it looked awesome. It looks perfect, like it's risen up out of the waves. And literally, we were kicking the crap out of each other. He had 15, I had 14 troops on there, and we were slowly whittling each other down. We had 6 and 6 in the last turn of the game. The dwarves came in and dropped 4 off, and I swear to God, they must have been berserker dwarves because they killed everyone.
Nice.
And then as we went down fighting, we killed the dwarves, and the game ended with nobody left alive on the island.
Wow, awesome!
It was awesome. Very, very dramatic ending. Had a lot of fun.
Cool achievement for that. How about you, Granger? What have you been playing?
I had a light week, and I can't remember. Did we talk about the large Carentan battle?
I don't think so. You talked about your Normandy assault one that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after that, Don had created a large reenactment of Carentan, and Carentan is a situation where the Germans were holed up inside of a French town. Up the coast of Normandy, and we started this particular game with, they had it was probably like 15 squads or like 5 platoons. That's what it was. It was 5 platoons of Germans housed in 3-story buildings, and 1 tank platoon. Actually, they were Stugs, so it's a smaller assault tank. But it was fun, and then it was 2 generals, the 2 German generals versus the 4 American generals. I played my Americans, U.S. armored, so they were mounted up. That was fun. Matt played his paratroopers, and Rodney came down and played his Canadians.
Right. Hey.
Yes. And that was fun. Matt stuck the poor Canadians in the middle running up the road. If anybody remembers the scene in Band and Brothers, do you remember when Machine Gun's ripping down the little dirt road and the Lieutenant Withers is running up the road going, get up, get out, get out, get out of the ditches, get out of the ditches. That was poor Rodney's lot in life. He was running up the middle of the road getting shot up. And then we had Tim playing the far right, and he was playing paratroopers as well, I think. It was a really fun battle. The U.S. was able to take the town, which is, guess what happened in the real historical battle? We played over 2 boards. One of the funny things, I don't remember how we got there, but somehow, I think Matt was about to assault one of the buildings, and we were like pretending like you could hear them like knocking on the door, and Stino in like a German accent says, "Hello, Santa Claus, is that you?" It just was funny.
Nice. You guys had a great crowd there, and that table looked fantastic.
Didn't it, though?
That looked like a Games Day quality Mega Battle thing, and there's some great photos. Matt took a bunch of photos. I took some photos. We put them all on our Facebook pages, links there, so go check out the Facebook.com/D6Generation and see all of our crazy pictures of
and then Lou and I broke out Super Munchkin, and we've been playing a little Super Munchkin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a question for you, though. You know how the Munchkin kind of has the adult-themed, with changing the sexes and then there's sexual innuendos.
Right, yeah.
Is there a Munchkin that's like more appropriate for, like, he gets the rules, not a problem. Right. But is there one that's more appropriate, like Junior Munchkin or something?
I think it's called Killer Bunnies. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never seen there might be a Junior Munchkin. I'm not familiar. Someone send you an email. I want you to ask for email to Hollywood@d6generation.com. Tell Raef about the best Munchkin for kids.
Yeah. Kung Fu Munchkin, the one that I got, is good.
It doesn't have any of those sexual innuendos.
It's got a couple things like the Hong Kong bong.
Yeah, there's some of that in there. Yeah, they all have a little bit of. It's subtle, but it's there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only 2 or 3 cards. You could just take them out.
Right. That's true.
Okay.
It's not like that's like a super highly refined game that you can't lose a couple cards in.
True. I didn't think of that to see how many there might be.
Right. Well, let's see.
For playing them with my students, I just took out the Hong Kong bong, and I think there's 2 others.
Okay.
All right. Well,
I'm done. That's all I got, man.
I played Galaxy Trucker with our friend Tahoe from Germany. He was over visiting. He's going to be moving to the States soon. He was scouting things out.
Is it Tahoe? You spoke to him more than
Tahoe,
I did.
Yes. That's how I remember. I reminded myself it's like
Tahoe.
the city. Yeah, that's what I thought. He did a great job in Galaxy Trucker. I barely eked out a win with only 2 points. Great game, good fun. I love Galaxy Trucker. We've been having fun with that game lately.
There's the Russ we all know and love, right, Greg?
Good times.
Yeah, visitor comes. Doesn't he's from Germany?
Oh, dude, he was destroying the game.
English is probably his 5th language.
No, he was destroying the game. He was doing
Russ
great.
crushes him.
He was doing great. It was actually Robo Monkeys played by was it Matt or Ian that just totally wiped him out. It may have also been my Jedi Mind Trick. I played on him earlier, which gave me to give first place in the race.
Oh, really? A Jedi Mind Trick took out a visitor from another country.
Yeah,
That's
another
country. Yes.
Well, you don't want to. He wants to be competitive. He doesn't want to. You don't want me to throw the game. That's no fun.
People want to know if they meet you. They want to see the Jedi Mind Trick. I mean,
they do.
Nobody wants to come all the way here and not see that.
Exactly my point.
That's what Angelo said. He's like, "Oh my God, this isn't made up. You guys are really like this."
Exactly, it's real. We are. Got to play Dystopian Wars Land Mission. Talked about that already. Awesome. And this is hotness. I got to play Chaos in the Old World with the new Horned Rat expansion.
Chaos in the Old World?
Old World. That's what I say.
The Christmas version?
When you add the Skaven.
Chaos in the Old World.
Hello? Santa Claus?
Rats stutter, so it's like,
they do, actually.
Die.
Old World. Die, man thing.
I have to say, if you like Chaos in the Old World, just go to your local gaming store, pull out $25 and buy it, okay? Don't even think about it. Don't even ask yourself. First of all, the models are fantastic.
The plastic was beautiful.
But that's not even the best part. The best part is it comes with new magic cards for every faction.
New Magic the Gathering cards?
New upgrade cards, too. Well, they're called magic cards in the game. And what that does is it allows you to play the factions in different ways than they allowed before. Like, for example, I actually won as Khorne in the game, and I won by victory points.
Hey, congrats.
I won by victory points, Raef.
What?
Not by the dial. I won with 58 victory points, and the lowest next player had 45, dude.
How'd you do that?
Well, there's new cards. One of the new upgrade cards is you get 2 victory points for every guy you kill with a Khorne Berserker.
Oh.
It was awesome, and it totally changes the game. But it doesn't make it unbalanced. And the Skaven play really cool. They're totally fluffy. They don't even have corruption tokens at all. They work. It's just really, really nice. Fantastic enhancement for the game. If you like Chaos in the Underworld, pick it up. If you don't like Chaos in the Underworld, it's not going to change anything. But if you love Chaos in the Underworld, this is a must-buy expansion, in my opinion. Let's see what else. Played Crokinole again. I have to curse Dan at Myriad Games for leaving this thing out all the time now because it is addicting as hell, and I am awful at it. I am the world's worst Crokinole player.
I gotta say, it looks like the most boring game ever.
Well, here's the thing: if you don't like darts, you will not like Crokinole.
I like darts.
See, I'm a guy who used to play darts like obsessively in college. So Crokinole is very much like darts, but it actually has more interesting screw your neighbor rules.
Right, because it's darts as if you could shoot, like actually with some accuracy, shoot the other guy's darts off the board.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's not only that. It's okay. So let's say you want to shoot for the bullseye with darts, right? But if my dart's in the board, even if it's in a bad spot, I have to shoot to hit someone else's dart first before I can shoot for the bullseye. So it's really nasty. Like it's really a really interesting game. Try it out.
Really, what it looks like, Raef, is somebody slides a wooden disc, and then somebody else knocks that wooden disc off with their wooden disc, and then somebody else knocks that wooden disc off with that wooden disc, and every now and then the disc, instead of going off, does something more interesting.
Oh, okay.
That's totally it, but it's obsessive. You just try it. It's very simple, really cool.
I don't need to try it. I've watched it.
And I've been still playing the Through the Ages online game with the crew from Game On and Jeff Finkelstein, and I finally got Genghis Khan out, so I get to yell Khan every time I take a turn, which is awesome.
Very nice.
And finally, Ian felt bad about this, so I have to give an achievement to Ian. I forgot to mention last episode that I did.
Yeah, see, I didn't play when I went to Ian's, but you really should have included it in your achievements.
It's not really a board game or a role-playing game, or even
it should be an other
game,
then.
But it is a game, so it was fun. Bubble hockey is fun. I also suck at that.
Well, it should be in the same space as Crokinole, for God's sake.
That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
I am not good at these dexterity games, but I like them. What can I say? Although the hockey game is tricky because it's not like Crokinole where you sort of know I got to hit that puck. It's like the hockey game. It's like which stick do I grab to control the third guy from the left in the middle of the table?
I think there's a lot of skills being tested by bubble hockey.
That's a tough game. It really is, but fun.
Did Ian win? Is he like skilled master?
He did win, but it was the first time he'd ever won.
And it was because the guy who used to win all the time moved away.
That's right.
And we suspect that Ian had something.
There are rumors that Ian actually bribed him to move away.
What about modeling, Grange? You doing any modeling lately?
Nope. The only thing I did was dream about wanting to paint my landing craft.
Oh, that's exciting, but not an achievement.
Nope, not an achievement.
I must say I'm in the same boat. I did actually assemble my Blazing Sun land forces, which is something, but I haven't even primed them yet. I really haven't had a lot of modeling time. It's kind of a shame, really. I'm not going to lie.
Right. And I'm in the same boat. I actually haven't done anything for about 3 weeks, but in the last, yesterday, I spent a half hour trying to put my FSA land models together and a couple other bits and pieces, and that's all I've managed to do yesterday and today.
Oh, I love my Walker, by the way. The Walker model in that for the Blazing Suns is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, I mean,
cool.
all the models are amazing. With
You guys are liking them, huh?
Patches.
Well, it's cool.
I want to base them, but I don't really like the bases they come with. They're just kind of like squares of plastic.
Yeah, but you can just gravel
and
them up.
They fit perfectly on the small Flames of War base.
Yeah, there you go. Flames of War base is a good call.
Ah.
Yeah, and they're beveled, so it really ties them in with the small tanks. And you know what I've just discovered, which is awesome, which I had no idea because I hadn't looked too closely. The small tank tokens are not all identical. There's three different molds. They're always side by side, but on one the guy on the left is forward, and on another the guy on the right is forward, and then in another they're both even.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The models are just fantastic.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's awesome. Well, so none of us did much modeling, but it's something. So what about other? What are we doing? You know, I just got, I said halfway here, but I'm actually 3/4 of the way through L.A. Noire.
Oh, yeah?
Loving it still. Just got to the Vice desk now. Well, Vice Cop now. Pretty exciting.
That's 3/4 of the way. Oh, wait.
Vice. Not Homicide. I just finished
Not Homicide. Okay.
Just finished Homicide. And it was awesome because this is not a spoiler because they say it like as soon as you get to the Homicide desk. Craig, are you familiar with the Black Dahlia murders in Hollywood back in like 1940s?
Only I recognize the name.
Yeah, it's very famous. It's almost like Jack the Ripper or the Boston Strangler happened in Hollywood. Unsolved case, no one happens. It actually ties in to this game, and it's really interesting. It's really fascinating the way they handled that. It was really interesting. So you'll get even more enjoyment out of the game and the Black Dahlia references if you take a moment and go Wikipedia it and learn about it, everyone. It's because it really adds a little bit of, especially the way it ends, the way it handles it. It's fantastic, really good. So that's my. Well, you playing any Rock Band, Granger? Is that what that is?
Yeah. We were watching Marisa and Lou like The Voice. Have you guys seen that music reality show?
No. Get that.
I don't really like it, but it's a weird spinoff. I don't want to waste time talking about it. But anyway, one of the guys sung "Creep."
Yeah,
it's like I'm a creep. Yep. I'm a whatever. Yep. And I'm like, oh, I remember playing that on Rock Band. So that night they all went to bed, and I just got out my guitar and played for like 2 hours straight.
Isn't Rock Band awesome?
Playing Rock Band. It was so fun. I was playing some oldies, and then I downloaded Stevie Ray Vaughan. I mean, who doesn't want to pretend to play guitar like Stevie Ray Vaughan, right?
Well, I had the same moment. I downloaded all of Billy Joel and started playing on the keyboard. Oh, my God. That was awesome.
Oh, that must have been fun.
That was fantastic. And you know what comes out on Tuesday?
What?
Live comes out. I'm Alone comes out on Tuesday. And this, I know this is going to totally 80s, but Aha, Take On Me. Come on.
Take on me. Is that a piano?
It's a synth. I'm sure it's got everything. It's got to have a synth in it. Dude, it's an 80s song.
Take on me. Keep singing while I talk about Latro. Latro is getting warmed up again. Doing a lot of Stony.
Craig,
sorry, I thought he said keep talking.
Craig, can you pass the gel? I got to fix my hair.
Keep singing in the background.
What?
Can you pass the gel? I got to fix my hair. A little gel, please.
Exactly. Flock of seagulls, man. Sorry. Although my seagulls look particularly balding today.
Sorry.
Flock
of bald
the new what is it? Rise of Isengard. I keep wanting to say Fall of Isengard, but Rise of the Isengard. New expansion for Latro coming out in the fall. We can finally level up our characters to level 75. And a couple people have been getting some doghouse systems. I don't know if I told you guys that. A couple of our peeps getting some doghouses, and they're saying, hey, Raef, do you want to play riffs? I'm like
a samurai.
Awesome, but they got to play Latro.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, and I made some pies.
Of course you did.
Let's see. I made some superior lembas. Some pea soup.
Nice.
I made some red tea.
Nice.
See, I think that is just one thing that Tolkien didn't really cover very well, which is that, all these great, amazing battles are occurring and all this huge intrigue is taking place, but people still they need to eat.
Well, I don't know.
And people may need to bake the things that those people need to eat, and I think you, Raef, have captured that way better than Tolkien ever
That was
did.
the other thing I made, Craig.
Yes.
Hobbit breakfast.
There you go. 11sies?
Plus 8 willpower.
Was it 11sies?
It was. Yep.
Excellent.
Whenever I eat it.
First breakfast?
Score. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see. I got reading to talk about.
Yeah.
Friends at Audible, I just got, not too long ago, I got Dreadnought by Sherry Priest. Mm-hmm. Now, we've talked about before Bone Shaker, right? This is her second book in the series. I don't know if you guys noticed. I just discovered she calls her world the Clockwork Century.
Right. It's actually not the world, it's the series.
Well, yeah, if you go to her blog, theclockworkcentury.com, she talks about it. There's actually another book in the world called, what did she call it? I forget.
Clementine.
Yeah, Clementine, thank you. And it's a short, it's almost a novella, or it is a novella. And it takes place in the same world, but not the same story. So it's not related to the other two
same
stories.
Characters at all, not related, just the same world. Cool.
But she's not my favorite steampunk author. I really, really, really enjoyed Dreadnought. And, dude, it has dueling trains, zombies, giant steam-powered walkers, dirigibles, and what? Oh, wait, and a kick-butt Texas Ranger. How can you go wrong? All good.
Is he a zombie?
No, but he fights zombies. It's fantastic.
He's damn good with those pistols, though.
Really good stuff. And now I'm even more excited because on her blog there, The Clockwork Century, she talks about, she has the jacket and the cover of Ganymede, which comes out this fall. So the air pirate from book 1, who you see a little bit in book 2, goes to an adventure in New Orleans and finds himself a massive submersible hidden in the bottom of Lake Pontchartrain. How good is that? That's awesome. You're going to have Cajuns. I mean, how can that be bad?
That is cool.
That is total win. So, and if you guys want to try out any of these books for free, pay absolutely nothing, you can take advantage of the current Audible deal that's offered through our D6 Generation listeners. How does the Audible deal work, Craig?
I have no idea.
Oh, I'm ready.
Go, Granger. Go.
All right. You basically go to the D6 Generation, Audible D6 Generation trial.
AudibleTrial.com. /D6G. Or you can go to our website. And
At least I admitted I didn't know.
Click on the Audible icon.
I knew there was a trial. That's all I remember.
Easiest thing to remember, Raef, just remember this. Go to the D6 Generation website, click on the Audible logo on the right-hand side. Boom. You're there.
You don't have to worry about the trial from that point
on. Don't worry
about
it. That'll take you right
there.
there.
Get a free book. You get a free credit. You get to keep the book, get the credit. And I have questions for you guys.
Yeah, go for it.
So I have my next Audible credit.
Yeah.
Now, I'm still reading listening to Pandora's Star. I probably have another 100 years on that.
Yeah.
So, do I listen to Game of Thrones? Because I've read that book. Do I go back and listen to Game of Thrones? Or do I get one of your new ones that you guys are talking about, Bone Shaker, Dreadnought, Miles Verkovian? What do I do?
Well, Game of Thrones is going to take you like a month and a half.
Right.
Okay.
Bone Shaker's about 10 hours, 12 hours maybe. So is Dreadnought, about the same length. But here, Granger, I would like to send you down the road of Bone Shaker because it might tip you in the direction of dystopian wars. So I have an ulterior motive.
What's the one with is it Armor? The one that has
Armor
the
was
stories
good.
inside his head or something?
Armor was good. I'd get Armor. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. It might be Armor.
Armor was good. Yeah.
I mean, now don't get me wrong. Like a Game of Thrones is awesome, and you probably want to, you will probably want to spruce up on that before Dance with Dragons comes out.
Right.
Yeah.
In July, but that's a long time coming.
Right.
All right. I've got time for that.
And
Go ahead, Gray.
meanwhile, speaking of Audible,
Yeah.
I had just finished the Miles Vorkosigan book Komar, and I was like, "Oh, what am I going to do?" And I too am in the same boat. I just finished Game of Thrones, so I was thinking, "Oh, do I want to go on to the next book?" And then I went, "You know what? Let me go on Audible and see what happens." And I went on Audible, and I just went straight to Miles Vorkosigan, and in less than 5 minutes, I downloaded and had it right up in my MP3 player. The next Miles Vorkosigan book, Civil Campaign, which I love. It's awesome.
Yep.
They're not space combat games. He did a little of that in his youth, like 5 books ago. They're way more character-driven stories. There's almost no... I mean, it happens in the far-off future, and there's all kinds of cool space technology and everything, but there's no, like, real serious space combat anymore. But you love the characters so much now that you just want to see what happens to them next.
Cool.
So I'm loving it, and that was all due to Audible.
Nice. So, yeah, check out Audible. Go to the D6Generation.com and click on the Audible logo to find out how to get the cool trial.
There you go.
And a
That's
free book.
the easiest way.
So, Craig, you've been working on your blog. What happened there? Did you get bogged down in your blog? Are you blog bogged?
I'm
Blog.
bogged. I'm blog bogged.
Oh,
I am.
dear.
I just have so many things going on at once that it's just like I keep wanting to put up some pictures of the pub, but that required me to clean the pub from the last party.
Stupid pub.
And so and I just did that for John and Joe, but then like there's that whole
They made a
Uncharted
mess.
Seas game is all over the place.
Right.
So I have great, and I stopped reading the BattleTech book because I've literally actually stopped reading anything because I've got this thing coming that's like ridiculous, like hard work, and it's the end of the school year, and I literally have no free time at all. And so
Well, summer's
I
coming. You
will
should have
get,
some free time soon.
yeah, exactly. I will get that blog back online, and I'm going to get pictures of the pub down there, and I'm going to
Nice.
try to spruce up another chapter of the Weird West story that I've got going there. Maybe even another battle report, but yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on right now that's kind of like that's taking a backseat to it. I'm working on a little thing with Ian. These are all connected. I got a couple. There's a guy in New Hampshire who is a
Ian.
best-selling author. No,
Oh.
Oh, cool.
he sells psychology books, actually, not
Nice.
like sci-fi or fantasy or anything. But he got into publishing in a totally unique way that's intriguing, that I would have spoken with Raef about, except that I haven't talked to Raef in about a month and a half.
Yeah, probably about a month.
Right.
And so there's all kinds. There's anybody out there who wants to be an author. You got this interest, like you want to write. Go to blurb.com, and a former student of mine actually got me into this mindset. And now Ian's kind of hopping on, and Rafe's name keeps coming up. It's only happened over the last 4 or 5 days, this part, but like we haven't seen Rafe, so we haven't. But we will be talking to Rafe soon.
Cool. All right.
And it's just like trying to clean up some stuff from the past. And the author actually goes to Karen's restaurant and loves Karen as a waitress, so has been sort of helping me with advice through Karen. So Karen will go, and he goes there twice a week. And anybody who can eat at that restaurant twice a week is somebody that I'm going to take advice from. Because it's that expensive to eat there.
Right.
And like, so I'll say, ask him about this. And she'll go, and then she'll come back and say, well, he's a nice, I wish I knew his name. I don't even know his name. I would give him a shout out. Because he's been ridiculously helpful.
Covert author.
And exactly. And, yeah, so it's really trying to clean up a bunch of stuff from my past and stuff, not psychological stuff that I've written.
Dark history. The dark in a world where Craig has a dark.
In a world where Craig, his brain is totally dark. No,
Craig, tell me about your relationship with your miniatures.
exactly. Now, do you see yourself when you paint these models when they're dying? Do you see your face on their heads?
Hey, speaking of covert authors and secret projects,
Yes.
I just saw X-Men First Class. You guys seen this yet?
Oh, how was that? No, I have not.
Oh,
No, haven't seen it.
Oh man, you know what this movie is? This
What?
is why I liked it. And okay, so it's an X-Men film, obviously, right? It's really telling the story of Magneto and Professor Xavier and how they it's their origin story, right? Mm-hmm. But and the origin of the X-Men, Professor X's school. But here's the cool part.
What?
It takes place during the middle of the height of the Cold War, right at the Cuban Missile Crisis, literally at the Cuban Missile Crisis. But the best part is, this isn't like a normal superhero movie. This is the X-Men meets James Bond.
Oh, cool.
It is totally that film, right down to like the era, right down to the villain with the crazy super, boat that transforms into a submarine and secret things.
Cool.
And, it's just, if you go in thinking it's that, it's phenomenal. Now, I can see how some people are disappointed because the heroes' powers of some of the heroes are somewhat less than impressive on some of the people.
Oh, yeah.
which Penny Arcade did a funny article about that. It was kind of neat. But in general, the movie's well done. The acting is great. The writing's awesome. Great.
What do you mean? Like, his First Class suggests it's way back when he first started his school. Are you saying they added some mutants that weren't in the comics? That were allegedly in the First Class, but maybe never got written about?
Well, there's some mutants. I don't know my X-Men origins lore that well. I mean, I know I'm used to the ones that appeared in the first X-Men movie, so Wolverine, Cyclops, Colossus, all those guys. I know them.
Yep.
But the precursors to those people, the guys that were there when Xavier was just starting his school, I don't know how much of that the movie kept to the comic book legends. Like, I don't know if Mystique was really supposed to know Xavier when he founded the school, but she does.
Okay.
Like, she grew up with him. She's his, and this is not a spoiler. It's right from the very beginning of the book. She's like his step sister, basically, kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think that's
so. And then but
canon.
there's people that are like, and you'll know this from the previews. There's one guy whose ability is he can like scream sonic waves out of his mouth, and there's one guy whose whole ability is he can adapt to survive. So if you shoot him with fire, he becomes rock, or if you hit him with a laser, he becomes glass. But he doesn't really have any offensive capability at all, kind of thing. So it's like that kind of, there's no like Wolverine or anything like that, except that Wolverine does have a cameo in the movie, and he has the best line in the whole film. That's all I'll say.
Oh, yeah.
So it's awesome. So I would definitely recommend it if you're a Marvel fan. If you just like hero movies, it's fantastic. And if you like James Bond, it's a must-see film. It's awesome. Good times. Great.
Well,
great
I got good husband points because I did see one movie in the past 3 months.
Chick flick alert.
It was Bridesmaids.
I want to see that.
Hilarious, better. I liked it better than the Hangover. It was
Really?
maybe a little, maybe not quite as funny, but it had a lot more heart and a lot nicer.
It is
cooler
getting
characters.
huge reviews.
Yeah, I had a blast.
What do they call that comedy? Blue comedy, Craig? And
Why?
there's a name I never heard for it, but on some radio shows they're talking about how men typically, Will Ferrell and Ferrell and those guys will do the blue humor, but the women, and which I guess come from Saturday Night Live originally, apparently it's just a riot.
I don't know her name, but the runaway actress in this whole thing is just hilarious.
Nice.
And I was pleasantly surprised when I saw it, as opposed to seeing X-Men First Class, which was the other.
But take the points, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Good call.
Oh, I still get the points. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's the key, and that's the advice we're going to give to the early husbands and boyfriends out there.
Right.
Even if you like the movie, you can't be too effusive, right? Because then they'll be like, oh, then I don't have to. You don't get any points for going because you enjoyed it. So, enjoy it, but don't enjoy it too obviously.
Right. Exactly right.
It's a very important key point in negotiations.
All right, is that achievements?
That's all we got.
You're listening to the D6 generation. Born to game.
And now it's time to talk about our friends at Lone Wolf Development.
Oh, they are cool.
Wait, where's the wolf?
I don't know.
I thought you were going to have it back on the wolf. What, Granger's not here and there's no pack noise anymore? This might be the first lone wolf discussion we've had with no wolf. I'm a little disappointed.
I just gave a wolf. Oh.
All right, that's better. Today we want to talk a little about one of their 3 flagship products.
Here's your wolf right there.
There we go. We've got a full-size roof in Craig's house.
100-pound German Shepherd wolf.
Hero Lab. Now, Hero Lab is their product that helps you build your characters for your favorite RPGs.
Yep.
They have a wide variety of these things, but the cool part is they have these really cool license deals with a lot of the manufacturers, so they give you exactly, fully official, all the stuff you need to make your characters exactly right for these games. And they just added now the new Ultimate Magic package for Pathfinder. So it gives you an optional add-on that gives you even more access to new supplemental stuff coming out for Pathfinder, which is just really cool.
They constantly upgrade too, which is awesome.
Right, and the other thing cool that's coming out is a bunch of new 3.7 just came out, right? And it adds a bunch of new features. They've got the ability for third-party updates to be installed, so it's kind of like Army Builder does. They've got customized output, so you can actually format this to look exactly like you like it, with a little bit of understanding of just some basic layout stuff. Like if you can basically build a web page, you can make this thing look exactly like you want when it prints out. You can have multiple heroes instead of just the current hero. So you can crank out a sidekick to go with your guy, or a little hang-on character, or any ancillary characters. Great for GMs who want to crank out a bunch of NPCs for a given scenario. New abilities to scroll around on the Hero Lab, which is great for small screens. Before, it was a little tricky in Hero Lab. If you had like a netbook or a laptop with a smaller screen, it's kind of hard to see everything. They got better scrolling now for all of that. And the big news this year at Gen Con, they'll be releasing the Shadowrun update for Hero Lab. So all the Shadowrun stuff will be fully supported and licensed in Hero Lab coming to Gen Con.
Very cool. Hero Lab is awesome.
It is fantastic. If you are a serious RPGer, this tool you want to get is Hero Lab.
Yeah, you'll make 10 to 20,000 more characters than you could ever use as soon as you get it.
That's part of the fun. We should do a segment just creating characters one day. I think it's awesome.
That's what Army Build, that's what Lone Wolf does. It makes the onerous, boring parts of gaming so much fun you do just those.
Right, exactly right. So check them out at wolflair.com.
Oh.
And now, what's in the news with the shout-out? The Gaming Geek, the source of your miniature board game and role-playing game needs at some of the most competitive pricing on eBay. Currently stocking Dystopian Wars, Warhammer 40,000, Dust Tactics, popular deck-building games like Dominion, Resident Evil, along with many other popular RPGs and board games. We've got all the new 40K Dark Eldar releases, along with good supply of hit games from 2010, including Alien Frontiers from Clever Mojo. Find them out at store.ebay.com/the-gaming-geek. All right. And now, the news. Wait. Delete. Special announcement. What's that, Weekland? Special announcement. Read this. Okay. Here we go. Breast cancer brawl news. For those of you who are feeling a little bit charitable. Excuse me. The painting competition for the breast cancer brawl is underway at paintitpink.net. The site will be fully live on July 1st, but for contest entries. But you can go ahead and check it out now, or go on over to breastcancerbrawl.net for more information on that as well. This is to encourage folks to paint their models pink, primarily War Machine and Hordes, and win prizes and help support the great cause of breast cancer research. Many great companies are already giving prize support right now. There's Portable Army Warfare, Mantic Games, Soda Pop Miniatures, Warcast Studios, and more are joining every day. So check out more information at breastcancerbrawl.net. Cool. Good to see gamers working for a good cause. Always exciting. And now the news. A little bit of a sci-fi theme. Well, sci-fi fantasy theme, I guess. First, sci-fi. Star Trek Expeditions, the board game. This is the one WizKids have been building. Reiner Knizia did the rules here. It was demoed at Gen Con last year. This is an away team co-op, 4-player co-op game. You got 4 cool, sculpted, pre-painted figures from the deck crew from the movie, the new Star Trek movie there. You got Kirk, McCoy, Spock, and Uhura. And they go down on away team missions and try to solve the problems. That game is out this week. So check that out if you like that. Also, the rules are up as well on the WizKids website. Ooh, and another big news announcement on Board Game World. This is the fantasy side now. D&D Conquest of Nerath, the board game. This was just announced. Not a lot of details. Well, actually, I guess there's tons of details if you think about it, because the rules are already up on Wizards.com website. The game's going to come with a rule book, the dice, and the dice look like all the different polyhedrals from D&D. You got 4 players, 2 to 4 players, 4 different factions. You got the human dwarf faction, the undead, the elves, and the goblins. Lots of cool plastic bits and different scopes for all the different factions. It seems to be a world conquest game using the very famous polyhedral dice from D&D. Check out the rules if you want a little more details about the game at wizards.com. Oh, here back to sci-fi again. Mongoose Publishing has announced a new Call to Arms game. Now, Call to Arms is a Starfield science fiction spaceship combat game that Craig and Russ have talked about for many years. They used to enjoy it when it was branded with Babylon 5 IP. For a while there, Mongoose was playing around with their own IP, and I think they still have it. But now they've just announced a partnership with Amarillo Design Bureau, or ADB. You know, the guys who make Starfleet battles. Yes, Mongoose and ADB will be working together to create a new Star Trek Starfleet Universe spaceship battle game, but using the Call to Arm rules. This is pretty exciting for fans of the Call to Arm rule set, who are maybe not so excited about the scopes that Mongoose currently has for their independent IP. Also, at the same time, the very same week, ADB also announced that they are totally resculpting their entire Starline 2400 or 2400 line of miniatures. So they've had a bunch of miniatures for Starfleet battles for a long time. They're looking old. They're looking a little dated. They're redoing the entire line with new 3D CAD sculpting technology. The early prototypes look pretty good. Yeah, but it's Mongoose. You got to watch it. What are you saying, Wakeland? This is pretty exciting. I mean, Star Trek, A Call to Arms, a rule system you've loved for years. How can you? Yeah, but it's Mongoose. They never support things more than a month. Really? Little bitter there? Maybe it'll be good. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm not going to buy it. All right. Hey, another sci-fi news, the Ares Project board game from Z-Man Games has gone cardboard. Sightings of the actual game in shrink wrap have been spotted around the designer's home. Jeff Engelstein has posted some twit pics of it. He's also put some pictures up on Board Game Geek of some of the components, notably the artwork. And the rules are up on Board Game Geek as well. So this is the game that is going to be taking a real-time strategy game like StarCraft, but making it a little more feeling of a real-time strategy game than the StarCraft board game. Interesting. Looks pretty cool. Very interesting mechanics. And finally, back to fantasy. WizKids Mage Knight, the board game. Boy, designing board games sure is vogue. Everybody's got them going now. This is interesting only because, well, it's Mage Knight, and you're thinking, okay, we've seen Mage Knight before, Mage Knight the board game, whatever. But check out the designer, Vlada Chvilto. I don't know how to pronounce Vlada's last name, but you will know Vlada from the following. He's the guy you may know from Through the Ages, Galaxy Trucker, Dungeon Lords, and Space Alert. All really good games. Sort of an interesting approach WizKids is taking, because remember that game we announced earlier, Star Trek Expeditions? That was a Reiner Knizia game. So this is interesting that American companies now are looking to famous Euro designers to come in and kick their games up a notch. That's kind of cool. Yeah, and it's looking like a hybrid too. I mean, you got a Euro and you got American. Well, what a great segment that would be. I sure hope we talk about that later in the show. Right, really, Wakeland, plugging your own show in the same very episode. Yes, Russ, Craig, and Raef later will discuss the definition of a Euro game and one of these games' hybrids. The lines are indeed blurring. And that's what's in the news.
The D6 Generation Podcast. All of the mysteries of gamer culture revealed. The D6 Generation. Born to game.
And the tale of the Battle King continues as Romeo, king of all foam, expands his empire to another continent.
General Foamy's charging in there. Woohoo!
That's right.
Or
Battle
General
Foam
Baggy,
has a new UK location in Southend.
I know, right?
Called 01702-462-017, and you can place your orders or you can stop in. And the website's going to be up next week, and you'll have additional shipping rates. This is huge for all those listeners out there in the UK and EU who've been listening to us and go, oh, Battle Foam's the best, but it's going to cost a fortune to have it shipped. Not anymore.
Right. And who'd have thought our little friend Romeo, just a couple of years ago, when he premiered some of his stuff on our show, now all of a sudden, he's an international foam mogul.
He is a foam magnate.
He is. And actually, if you can go to one of their actual locations, either is this the UK or the US, right?
Yep, I believe so.
They're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 6 for personal pickup. Drive on by, say hi.
There you go. Zero shipping right there.
Right. And Saturdays 11 to 5 by appointment. Just let them know. But here's my favorite thing, okay?
This is the coolest.
This is awesome. So now they've got the newest bags on the pack systems, the pack ones. They're going to be made out of Kevlar, dude. Kevlar.
Yeah, just in case somebody tries to shoot up your models after a game.
Your Battle Foam could literally save your life.
That's right.
It's not only protecting your models anymore. Now it's protecting you. Okay, so this is pretty amazing.
Protecting your models and you, so you don't have to.
And this starts.
You could go into the worst city in the worst district in the world, and you'd be okay as long as they attack you through your bag.
Right. And the pack bags will have this in the U.S. starting July 1st, but somehow the sneaky guys in the U.K. have it even now. Yep. Even as we speak, the Kevlar is available in the U.K.
Unbelievable.
Now, the other cool thing...
We've got the new Pack Air Battle Foam bag, which is the first truly airline-friendly bag designed to carry over 3,000 points of models.
Have you seen pictures of this thing? It's awesome. It looks just like...
It looks like something you'd carry your high-speed sniper rifle in.
Yeah, you know the ones that you see the airline captain walking onto the plane with? He's got his little extension telescoping thing and the wheels behind it. It's got all that stuff. It's like an airline. It's like a businessman's travel thing, but it's for miniatures. It's for
awesome.
Real business, getting the job done of gaming. That's what it's all about.
Right, yep.
3,000 points of models fit in there.
That's an awful lot of models.
It is craziness. And then they got all those great licensing partnerships. How do those work, Craig? What do they got going on there?
Well, they've got the newest one, which is Infinity.
Yep.
Just announced the Infinity bag.
Yep.
And then you have Mercs we've talked about, Heavy Gear, Dark Eldar trays are now available for all of the foam.
Yep.
Dystopian War trays are released now.
Yep.
They've got the Spartan Games bag. They've got the Mantic Mantic bag launching in July 1st. It's almost as if there isn't a game out there that hasn't licensed a battle phone bag except for one. But anyway,
right.
Of course, any of those can be found at battlefoam.com.
Hoorah!
Hoorah!
An even playing field. A clear set of rules. And a good roll of the dice.
Dice are our vice. We are the D6 generation.
And welcome back. We are very excited this time around to have with us Teras Cassidy, the owner, inventor, and all-around leader of Geek Nation Tours. Teras, how are you this evening?
Very, very good. Yourself?
I'm fine, thank you.
We're good.
Welcome, Teras. Excited to talk to you tonight.
Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, blah,
okay.
blah.
Enough of this.
Let's get to the good stuff. Is this man a gamer, Craig? We must find out.
That's right. We need to cut to the chase, Teras. We need to ask you, are you now, or have you ever been a gamer?
I have, and I am a gamer.
Excellent. How about some details?
Sure.
Give us the deets,
How'd
dude.
you get started?
Sure. How did I start?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've been board gaming since I was a kid. My parents always used to have board games around. And so all through the 70s and 80s, we were board gaming as a family for sure. And then, of course, I did the Dungeons & Dragons stint.
Oh, yes.
And that was I was usually the dungeon master and didn't get to play there very much. So that's that happens to some of us, I suppose. We have to give up our playing time for other people to play. Damn it. And then I moved into other role-playing games, namely Shadowrun and that kind of thing also. And then I kind of went to university, and it died off a little bit. But then my friend introduced me into Epic. Epic. Yeah.
The miniatures. It's a sickness.
Yeah, that's and you know what? I still love Epic. Epic's a great game. Love the scale and everything. And but when they GW changed the rules, I think we all abandoned it, unfortunately, and then I moved to 40K. So I've been playing 40K since then. So.
Nice.
Oh, excellent. I happened to actually see some of your work online. You want to talk a little bit about the armies that you play and maybe a couple of the conversions that you're most proud of?
Sure. I've got an Eldar army, a Space Marine army, the Lamenters, so all yellows before Foundation paints came out. So that was very nice. A very large Tyranid army, over 6,000 or 7,000 points.
Wow.
And I'm currently working on orcs. So as a matter of fact,
very nice.
Still have glue on my hands from building my Stomper this morning.
Now, what's your favorite?
Stomper, excellent choice.
What's your favorite current orc model?
That's hard.
Tough one.
I have a question for him too.
I just bought Gazergal, so I really like it.
Oh, he's awesome.
And I've got it in resin. So,
Ooh.
so I'm very happy.
How was that? How was the quality of it?
It's unbelievable, really.
Nice.
I'm shocked how good, because they cast that out of the old molds, right? Like, it's not a new sculpt.
Yeah, that's what I understand.
That
It's
is the rumor.
Yeah, that's the same mold. Just,
It's unbelievable quality.
Nice.
It's spectacular. And what's great about it is that I get to convert it a bit. So give him a little bit more motion or something.
yeah,
I have a
it's
question.
nice.
Sure.
After playing Epic, Teras, do you find that playing 40K is like shooting fish in a barrel, or that's a weird? I've never heard that transition before.
Really? Because
Yeah.
that's the transition both Russ and I.
You played Necromunda. Don't give me that.
No, I got everybody involved in Epic first, but this is about Teras, really. So Teras, go ahead.
Well, you know what? I understand that because a friend of mine, we were just recently talking about this, how it's so much. 40K is kind of get to the other side type of thing.
Yeah.
And Epic, you can really do those sweeping motions and really think about where you're going. It's a scale. The scale is the
Right,
issue.
right.
Not. I don't think it's the gameplay or the rules so much as the scale. But I think I treat 40K differently than I treated Epic. I keep 40K for me is a scene in a movie, and if I can create a scene in a movie, then the game is won. Awesome. And that's really what I want to do is not necessarily win. I want it so I don't remember rolling the dice. And that's what we do. We try to make our models as nice as possible and our terrain as nice as possible to create the scene. And I think that's what 40K is.
I see now why you and Craig get along so well. I get it.
Well, that's a great attitude. That's exactly. I think
You've got to have an attitude where winning is secondary.
Yeah.
And I saw some of your Tyranid conversions online. They were beautiful.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's one you mentioned. Asked me about what I was most proud of. I think my lictor coming out of the pillar is my favorite model.
And if you guys said this already, where could they check those out online?
You can see them at my website, actually, geeknationtours.com.
I wasn't sure if it was there or on Daka or where they were.
They're in several different places.
Yeah,
actually.
they're all over the place.
So I actually won the Calgary GT when all the GTs were kind of small and they were in a lot of different cities at the beginning. Yeah. And so I won because of that model.
Nice.
Oh, very cool.
Nice.
Well done.
Yeah. Nicely done.
Thank you.
So you've
Craig won a GW trophy too. Just saying.
Thank you.
Did he? What trophy did you win, Greg?
I won a bronze golden demon, but thank you, Raef.
Wow, that's awesome. That's very.
It was back when Games Day wasn't as big and nobody was flying anywhere to enter golden demons either. So it was a different time.
Damn those travel agents.
That's right.
It's like they fly in ringers for these contests.
I didn't make that connection, Teras. This was perhaps an unfortunate thing for you to say. So anyway, I'm going to ignore that for now and lock it in my lockbox for later. So you have established yourself as a gamer, which is awesome. You've got a very similar path as the rest of us, starting with board games and GW and some, of course, D&D there in the background. But not everybody ends up as a travel agent. So tell us a little bit about, before Geek Nation Tours even began, you've been a travel agent for quite a while, I hear.
Yeah, I've been in the industry for about 15 years. I actually started, I lived in Japan for a while. Taught English for a while. I went to university there. And then I came home and I got into the travel industry and brought Japanese, worked for a company called Japan Travel Bureau and brought Japanese clients to Canada, across Canada.
Why would they want to do that? No, I'm sorry. I couldn't do that. Sorry.
Wow.
There are nice places here.
Send email to Raef.
You have to put they all have to have parkas and live in igloos, but
right.
For the most part, you can see some nice snowstorms.
Excellent. That's about the same as New England. There you go.
Yeah, really, especially after today.
Yeah, so we have lots of igloos. You can see igloos in Canada and snowstorms. So
nice.
Send email to Teras.
That's right. Nice. No, we have lots of cool places to see and to do. So I did that for a while, and that was really a good thing. But we wanted to move away from the big city and go to the country. So we moved to a small town just outside of the Rockies, and I established a couple of travel agencies and did that for a stint. And basically, what happened is you do the same thing over and over again. After a while, you want to add something to it or escape it.
Yeah.
You know? And so I decided that I'd add it, and I'm a geek from way back. I love comic books and comic movies and video games and anything that is geeky, Star Trek, and I realized that there was a possibility to make it so I could do what I do and to have fun being a geek too. So I really rediscovered myself. So that was awesome.
Man, I love stories like that.
Yeah, that is cool. Now, before you started Geek Nation, were you doing tours also, or was that mostly like arranging other people's travel plans, but not as a tour group?
Yeah, well, travel agents often do hook up with radio stations and that kind of thing. So to head down to Mexico, and we were doing that kind of stuff also, bringing large groups to Mexico. But I like to have a few drinks and have a party too, but it was so party oriented that it was just like, wow, I could do so much better. I can go to, places that are I can get, have fun and drink and eat well, but I also get to see cool stuff that I really like. So I also thought about doing historical tours, and we do a couple historical tours, but I was really thinking about doing them on a serious level. Wow. But I don't, that scares me also, because some of those historical tours can be pretty emotional, and I wanted to have a more jocular job, so I tried to stay away from some of those.
You don't want any Thano travel.
That's right. Yeah. When you threw that at me, I'm like, oh my god.
Nice.
I don't know where we get this stuff.
To find that exists as well.
Yeah.
Well, that segues nicely, of course, into Geek Nation tours because, you can't get much more jocular than games.
That's right. Exactly. And there's so many of them. Like there's the possibilities are endless when it comes to tours for games. Like Gen Con and Adepticon in Chicago. So there's tons of stuff to go see, and they're all fun. And all those places are cool to discover too. For instance, we're going to PAX Prime in Seattle, and we're going to be discovering Seattle at the same time. The tours that I try to do make sure that they have not only the convention or the tournament, but also try to explore the area a little bit too.
Cool. Now, let me ask you this: How did you wake up and decide? There's a big enough market to support a concept of tours targeted for geeks. I mean,
that's what I'm wondering.
How did you get confidence that,
or that people would pay?
Right.
Yeah.
Gamers are known to be kind of frugal.
Yeah, and that's true. That is a good point. But I think that once people see what type of options there are for you, they get excited about the notion. And how I decided that I was going to do it was that there was new media. There's new ways to find people. For instance, you guys are a good example of that. I can talk to you guys, but by talking through you guys, I talk directly to the people that really want to go to these type of things. I've never been able to do that before.
Okay.
So I have a specific way of finding people that are like, you know what, I'd love to go to PAX, or I'd love to go to the Star Trek convention, but who does it? And then, lo and behold, there's a podcast that lets me talk directly to those people. So
one thing I was thinking about too, I answered my own question when I said gamers are frugal, but you know what? There's the complete other side of the spectrum too. There is and I don't know what the percentages are, but there's gamers that are like, I'll buy that, no problem. Painted, not painted, whatever. Sultan gaming table, bought.
Yeah, and you know what? It also has to come down to value. It's how you perceive your value, and more. Like you can travel on your own, and regular travel agencies have this issue too, right? People decide, well, you know what? I'm going to travel by myself. I'm going to research it and do it all and everything. People do that, and they do it effectively, but sometimes they don't do it effectively. And I can make sure that it's done effectively. First of all, I can make sure that it's fun, safe, and worry-free. But I can also make sure that it's at a fairly good cost, because over the last 15 years, I've got a lot of contacts, right? So I can make sure that the flight from Toronto to the UK, when we do our miniatures in the UK tour, is really cheap, and that most people couldn't get it for that cheap. So that's kind of the other thing. I get to use my contacts that I've made over the last 15 years to create travel that is cheaper than others. So,
see, I was thinking a lot about this, Teras, when you're going to be on. And Craig, if I'm hijacking, let me know. I'll I'll be quiet.
It'd be awesome if you were following the bullets so you could hit a couple of those, but
I don't have the bullets up. I don't have the bullets up. So I was thinking about this, and because I part of the trip planning for me is fun. Like I remember being a kid and looking at the maps and stuff like that. But then I did go on a trip with Craig where he was like the chaperone. And I have to admit, that was fun, too. I didn't have to worry about a flipping thing. We're going to Notre Dame. Boom. I'm like, follow Craig. We're at Notre Dame. He's got the tickets. And, well, not just him by himself, but the whole school and the tour group. So, yeah, I'm interested to hear more about that.
Well, that's exactly what it's like. And I'm there. It's me that's there. So I take care of everyone. I make sure everyone's up in the morning. I say, okay, if you're not up, we leave. So I'm kind of a Nazi sometimes when it comes to the bus. But
you got to be.
Yeah, you have to be, right?
Yeah, good point.
But so no one's late. No, everyone gets to where they're supposed to be. I make sure if it's not, you guys just to sit in the hotel room or sit in the lobby just for a few more moments when I'm yelling at the bus driver saying, "How come you're not here on time?" You know, so it's totally worry free and it's so much easier. And what's great about that is that it gives you guys a chance to know each other, and I think that we mentioned that. We explore the area a little bit around it, like Seattle. We go to, we're going to go to see several different areas. We're going to go to the Science Fiction Museum and the Music Experience and go on a cruise of the harbor and that kind of thing, and get to see Seattle. But what's really great about it is that you meet people. And when you go to these conventions, if you go with them with 2 or 3 people, it's exciting, but you still can be overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of these type of conventions. And when you're with a group of 20 or 30 people, that seems to calm down. And you get to have these new conversations with these people that you've never met before. 4 days ago, you have no idea who they are, but you all have a common frame of reference and a common vocabulary, which is really interesting because conversations happen spontaneously. That with a person from, could be a person from Malaysia. But you say, you know what? Your orcs look great. And he says, they're fun to play because of this, this, and this. And you know what he's talking about. And that's really what it's really about, is that these people are passionate and excited about what they do, what geeks them out. And no matter what that is, if it's Star Trek or whatever, they're happy to be together. And you form really good friendships and travel really well with each other.
It is cool. It's kind of like a traveling convention, if you will. Yeah. Let me ask you this. So how long have you actually been focused on the Geek Nation tours part of your business?
This is our second year, so we're relatively young, but it's been a venture. Yeah, I've struggled with trying to figure out what word I would use when someone asks me about how was it to build the company? And I think an adventure is the best way. There's ups and downs. You see this huge vista and you're happy, and then you got to trudge through the mud, and then you see another vista and then more mud, and so it's been an adventure for sure for 2 years.
Well, every great adventure has challenging beginnings. I mean, there's all these stories about how difficult it was for Walt Disney to start Disney World, right, or Disneyland, all these messes they had and the cars didn't work. What was your very first tour like? I mean, where did you go? How nervous were you, and how did it work out?
Okay. Our first tour was to San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And I was very nervous. And we all met at the airport, 2 different airports we flew from, and arrived in Seattle. And then I gathered everybody together. And everybody was really, again, spontaneously talking to each other. So I recognized that right away. So I thought that was pretty exciting because the group was actually binding already in Seattle. And
how diverse was your group? Did you have people from all over the world? Was it mostly local folks, or how did that work out?
No, from all around the world, from the United States, from Canada, and it was a North American tour, that one.
Okay, yeah.
I still hadn't reached as far as my other tours. I've got clients from, like I said, Malaysia and from Japan and Australia and the UK and Germany. So I've got clients from all the way around the world now, but then it was more local with more North Americans. So that was basically it.
And it went pretty smoothly once you got it.
Yeah, well, Well, I was nervous in Seattle. I was like, okay, oh my God, I have to get to this. I have to get them from the San Diego airport to the hotel now, right? So I'm starting to go, okay, is the bus going to be on time and everything? And the bus driver's telling me in Seattle, no, don't worry about it. We'll be there, and all you have to do is call me, and I'll pull up. And I'm like, yeah, right, that's going to happen. So I get everybody's bags together, and we're all good. We, got all our bags. Everybody got their bags. My bag got broke, of course, and I came out of the airport, and I said, okay, everybody gather here. I'll phone the bus driver. I phoned the bus driver, and literally 2 minutes, he was right in front of us.
Nice.
So I said, okay, we're ready to go, and everybody like, is that our bus already? And I'm like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's how we roll, baby.
It was awesome, and you know what? Everything after that rolled exactly how it
Excellent.
should.
That's awesome.
All the way through. Yeah, and it was fantastic.
How big was that tour? How many people were on it?
That was 27.
That's a nice sized tour.
So, yeah. So
and
how many people ended the tour with you?
27.
Woo!
And if it wasn't, we'd lie and tell you.
That's right. We sure would. Yeah, no. No. That is a nightmare to think of.
Yes, it is.
But we have. We make sure that everybody knows at least the beginning and the end of the tour, like exactly where we're going to be. Yeah. So, because everybody knows that we have to leave on the bus. I tell everybody we have welcome dinners, and we'll talk about that later. But at the welcome dinner, I say, okay, we're going to have fun. We're going to meet here. I'm on Skype. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook Places. So if you need to find me, you can phone me, or you can find me on Facebook. To the square meter almost, but whatever you do, we're leaving at 8:00 on Monday. Mm-hmm. So that's when you really have to find me. And they're all adults, so they're on time.
Right, right.
So they don't want anybody else to be. If it was kids, then there'd be an interest. But everybody's, adults, and they don't want everybody else to be hung up because of them. So,
what are some of the unique challenges to catering to geeks like us? What makes scheduling and planning a geek tour different than one of your more conventional tours?
Well, you have to find that common thread, like we were talking about before. We want everybody to make sure that why are we on this tour? I can go get. I can all go do this by myself, or I can and geeks, traditionally geeks have this thing of, okay, this is the person that doesn't come out of his mom's house, you know what I mean? Like that's the stereotypical person. But I found that the people on these tours are successful and very social and happy to talk about what they do. So I think there's a stigma of Geek Nation tours in the first place. I think that's the one thing that you have to kind of get over, that you're thinking, oh God, I'm going to have to be, locked up with all these antisocial people.
That's what I was thinking, hammerheads.
Right, exactly. That doesn't happen. It's never happened. I've had a couple people that are a little bit shy, but when they see everybody talking about what they love too, they come out of their envelope and are ecstatic to be on the tours for sure.
That's awesome. And I've noticed the same thing. Traveling bonds people together for some reason, which is very nice. It brings people out of their shells.
Personally,
so that was a big success. I
wanted to push you into the Thames in London, but that's just.
But I wanted to push you into the Thames before we ever started traveling. So that didn't.
Wow.
So where else have you gone, Teras? Since those heady beginning days at Comic-Con?
We've been to several. Let me think of a couple here. We've been to the UK, and that was a great tour. That was our basically our GW tour, and we were at Warhammer World and Games Day UK. We went to Nottingham. We hung out at one of my favorite part of the tour. We went to the trip to Jerusalem in Nottingham, and a whole bunch of gamer celebrities showed up.
Yeah,
Warlord John from Warlord showed up. Ronnie from Mantic, the Perry twins were there. Alicio was there. Yeah, it was.
Oh, wow.
It was a blast.
That's cool.
It really was.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
That really is the Mecca.
Yeah. Yeah, it was incredible, and the tour was great too. Like we went to castles and we went to Bovington Tank Museum and the Imperial War Museum. So we do things that those geeks would like. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to bring them to an art museum or something like that. Although some of them might like that. You know, but I want to bring them to something that they're going to go like, yeah, I can really get my teeth into. Oh, that's the tank that 40K was built on.
Right.
You know, that's a Land Raider. You know, that's the kind of stuff we do. Yeah.
Now, knowing travel as I do, I know that no trip goes 100% according to plan. And there's always little interesting side trips. What was the funniest or most awkward moment that you've had?
Oh, that's a hard one because I've had such good.
Yeah, they happen.
Yeah, they do. I think planning for everybody to get together is often hard. Trying to figure out where everybody would like to eat, for instance, is always a hard thing. And I think that I've made some errors in judgment when it comes to, okay, we're going to go to this restaurant or this restaurant because, you know, you can't please everybody, right? And that's understandable. But I think that I've had it so I've thought, this is going to be a great time, and it fails miserably in a way that no one really wants to do that. So I've kind of learned that way. I did that. I went to a pizza joint that was a little bit too expensive for what we got. So I think everybody was like, "Oh, this is it," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, it is." Don't do that again.
It happens.
So I've learned from my mistake for sure. So.
Yeah,
I would say that was the worst one, but they've been pretty smooth actually.
Excellent. How has the economy, I know, has pinched a lot of people, especially in their travel budgets, where they look at that as sort of like that's the first thing that goes for a lot of people. Have you found that the economy's had an effect on your business? Have you had to maybe adjust the planning for trips or? By all means. Maybe pulled in your claws a little bit.
Yeah, by all means. I think that's for sure. I mean, we honestly we have a minimum that we need to hit before we can make a tour happen, and sometimes that just is impossible to go because the economy. You know, my main clients are from the United States, and I know that it's not the best at the United States right now. I think you guys are clawing your way out just like we are in Canada. But yeah, by all means, the economy has shifted things. But you know, I try to look at it in a good way, positive light. That it's slower now, and that allows me this time to plan. And then when it gets bigger and bigger, I think it's just going to go because as people realize what type of tours I put on, I think they see that it has a lot of value, and but I do understand that sometimes it's more important to buy that one miniature or a few more miniatures than go on a miniatures tour. So everybody's got to balance it, and the economy has, of course, slowed things down. But I try not to make that as a negative thing, but a positive thing.
What's the I'm thinking let's say I was planning on, which I'm not, I can't get the time off. Let's say I was planning on going to the Historicon, and there's Gettysburg there, and there's all these things like is it one of those odd travel facts to know that, you might say, Raef, by the time you booked your airfare, when you rented your car and you rented this, and then you bought the tickets to see this museum and that museum, is the cost comparable by the time you actually do it, and it's maybe only a couple $100 more to get this, and this? Or is it really going on, my vision of going on a tour is almost like it's like going on the most expensive cruise you could buy.
Yeah, that's not it at all. I would say it's either cheaper or the same.
Okay.
Because, like I said, I can get this air from Toronto to the UK for cheap.
Yeah.
I can get a bus. If you rent a car, you're paying for it. If you got a few buddies, then it's cheaper. And I do the same thing as that, right? I basically I have all the tour participants are my buddies. So I get to divide the cost of the tour down because I'm bringing 30.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how it breaks down. So if you have to look at the tour, and I think that's where a lot of people fall down on how they plan travel, is that they have to look at what they get before they discount something. Because if you think that you're getting a deal just because you can do it by yourself, that's not always the case.
Right.
You have to be really careful with what you do, and that even goes to just air. When we do air from all around the world, but I get to look at 100 different airlines at a time, and you can do that online for sure. But everybody's got to get their cut too, right?
Yep.
So like Expedia's got to get their cut. So they have to, in order to be successful, they have to have money coming in, right? So I would say that for value, you have to, and this goes to any type of travel, like even if you're just going down to Mexico or whatever, look at what you get compared to what it is to build the whole thing. Sure, that lump sum looks like it might be like eek, but it's not.
Okay. I bet you, too, by the time you factor in renting a car, filling it up, paying for the extra insurance if you do that, the tolls, but you're right, the extra food on the run, all that stuff. You're right, because you look at those trips to Bermudas and stuff, and sometimes you're like, but if you went privately, I bet you it would be more. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, Teras, when you mentioned that your tours start in Vancouver, which is where you're located?
I alter where the destination where we originate from quite often. Sometimes they leave from Edmonton or Calgary, or sometimes they leave from Toronto. I've looked into a couple leaving from LA to Japan. So really, it all depends on where I'm going. That's how I determine where we're leaving from. I just make sure that I'm there prior to everybody else being there.
Right. Now, let's say, like for the UK, what about people who live in Europe but they want to do your UK tour? They wouldn't have to go to Canada and then fly over, right? There's a way for them to meet you?
Yep, by all means. What I do for all my tours is I have a tour package, including the air, and a land-only package. And land-only means that basically it's just the tour without the air component. Yeah. So if you come from, and this has happened a lot, which is a good example, our UK tour is a good example. I've had people from Germany and from Australia on that tour. So they flew from their respective countries to Britain and hooked up with us. Awesome. So, it's really easy for me to do. And again, I've got the years of experience to say, okay, well, you know what, you need to take this plane here and, to do this. And I also have to make it clear that when I do air, I usually quote the air, and then sometimes I tell that client, you know what you should do is go to your local travel agent and double check my prices, because sometimes I can get a great price from Malaysia to the UK, but sometimes it's not. So I have to make sure that there's a balance, and I always make sure that they know what they're paying for, and I did that with an Australian a couple that they looked into it, and it turned out that my price was lower, but I wanted to make sure that they had the ability to double check that.
That's great.
Excellent. Okay, so this is a good segue. So you talked about like airfare and things like that, but then you've been mentioning PAX and Star Trek, which are two of the big trips that are coming up. Why don't you use one of those? You choose which one. I believe Star Trek is next, right? And then PAX is late in August. Yep. And why don't you walk us through what the Star Trek tour would look like, and like everything that's sort of included, so people can kind of get an idea of, like Raef was talking about, if I did it on my own, all these different things would be like things I would have to worry about. And if we're doing, like, if we were to do Geek Nation tours for the Star Trek trip from soup to nuts, what would that entail?
Sure. Okay. Well, basically, it's the 45th anniversary of Star Trek coming out this year. So, and Las Vegas is the biggest Star Trek convention in the world. So that's kind of a cool thing. And you get to see.
We got to book that.
Yeah, it's gonna.
Vegas and Star Trek. Oh man.
Yeah, I know. How can you go wrong? Really, it's going to be a lot of fun. And you'll see Klingons walking down the hallway and bump into Romulans at the craps table and stuff. So, it's just awesome. I'll do a little bit of a story on that one if you don't mind. I had somebody was telling me that they went into the lounge and they looked up, and there was this table of townies. They were going out on the town. They're all beautiful and they're nice, Gucci bags and everything like that. And they're having some drinks and everything. And right beside them was a table of Klingons. So how awesome is that? That just sounds like an awesome time. Anyway, we arrive in Vegas, and that night, the first night on any convention or any tour, we always have our welcome dinner. And the welcome dinner is very important, and another added kind of value to the whole tour thing is we have this how to get your best out of that convention. And in this particular instance, of course, we have how to get the best of your Star Trek convention. So and basically what it is veterans usually come and tell us, basically, this is what you should do. This is how you should line up. This is what. Make sure you have water, but also stuff that's very detailed. Like, okay, if you want to do this, then this is how you should do it. Just to make sure that your experience of that particular convention is good. And we do that for PAX convention and whatever other convention that we're going on. And in this particular instance, a Creation Entertainment employee is going to come by and give us a little talk on what we should be doing. So that's kind of nice.
See, I think that's really fantastic because. I look at a lot when I go to, Craig and Raef and I have been lucky enough to go to a lot of different conventions, and wherever we say, hey, we're going to this convention, all of our friends who are going for the first time are like, well, what do you do for this? How do you plan for it? What things must I not miss? And I think having that expertise so you don't, because I think one thing,
it's huge.
One thing geeks are all about is they don't want to miss anything. They want to see every little aspect of the coolest parts. So having that expertise, I think, is huge.
Yeah, and it is very important. And actually, it's funny that you should mention that because a lot of times in our tours we do kind of a pre talk too. Like I always said, update emails, but some of them you do have to kind of do prior. Like Gen Con would be a good example. You want to make sure you're booked prior to getting to Gen Con, right?
You got to get all your events registered and all that craziness.
Right. So we do that. Yeah. We do that prior to the tour. And prior to registration, if we can, and then we do the welcome dinner when you get there. So you got it covered on both ends. So that's kind of nice. So. Anyway, so back to the tour here, and then the next day we go. You can choose on a specialized kind of private tour. You can go to Area 51 if you want.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, you can go to the Alien Highway, I think they call it, or you can go to the Grand Canyon, or you can go down Colorado River raft in the Hoover Dam. So
wow.
Oh, okay. So it's not all geek stuff.
Yeah, you get to choose, right? You get to choose what you want to do. Yeah, and there's several other ones you can choose from also. So, and then that night when you get tired and you come back to the hotel, we pre-register for the event. So that's kind of nice. So,
Russ, what would you choose out of those three?
I don't know. I that's a tough call. Really, I love whitewater rafting. I love the Grand. Can I choose all three? Is that allowed?
No,
because
it's so long. Like Area 51 would be all day because you're driving there.
Now I got to go twice. That's what's happening here.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to go twice, Russ, which one are you not going to do?
I know, right?
Which one, Craig, do you choose?
Whitewater rafting.
Me too.
I'm afraid that Area 51 is going to be driving through a desert and standing in front of a chain link fence.
Yeah, standing in front of stuff that you would see at south of the border.
It's more Grand Canyon that bothers me. I really want to see the Grand Canyon. So,
I've flown over it, but I might choose that.
Could we go down it on little donkeys like in the Brady Bunch?
Yeah,
that's right.
Get attacked by a tarantula. Wait, that's the Hawaii.
Only if I'm riding with Marsha, baby.
Nice. Whatever you do, don't take the tiki.
Marsha. All right, sorry, we're off track. We're way off track.
Okay, sorry. That was my fault.
After our Grand Canyon / Area 51 / whitewater rafting trip, now what happens?
You know what? Actually, I would like to. That's a good segue because you did ask me if you could do the other ones, and we have got another thing that is really important to Geek Nation Tours. It's called our alternate universe section, and what that does is if you want to stay longer, you can, or if you want to stay pre or post longer, you can come back, or if you have a non-geek spouse. And as we all know that sometimes you do have a non-geek spouse that says, what's in it for me, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And what we do is we take care of him or her also. So we would send her to the spa while you're geeking out, or him to a baseball game while you're geeking out. So there's always this, if you're wondering this sounds great, but my wife is going to kill me if I even suggest it. No, don't. That's not it at all. We take care of her, and we'll send her to the art museum while we're in the tank museum. So
nice.
We do that. So anyway, so then we have.
And actually, what sounds pretty good about that, Teras, is that, and then there sounds like there'd be other spouses too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. By all means, there are. Yeah, and some of them are gamers, so some of them aren't. And at Adepticon, I had a limo tour of Chicago. So I sent a whole bunch of ladies who happened to be one or two of them were gamers, but the rest of them were totally non-gamers. So I think there was 6 or 7 of them, and we send them all around Chicago. So yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of it helps, right? With you trying to sell it, right? To your spouse. So So anyway, we're Thursday and to Sunday, of course, is the convention, and we'll be there constantly. I'll be in the convention hall. I'll be helping people, doing things, and geeking out with everybody else because I love Star Trek, right? So that's good. And then this is another really, really important thing to the tours, that each night we get together again for drinks or for dinner or whatever, and we all talk about our war stories. Who we saw, what we did, and everything. And this was what happened in San Diego. This is the first time I experienced that. Is that somebody came back and said, who I saw here, blah blah blah. And you know what I did? I did this, and I went to this particular seminar, or I went to see him in the booth, and you could see people's faces go, "Oh my God, I didn't even know he was there."
Yeah.
So you get each night you get more hints of what to do the next day.
See, again, that's brilliant because what happens is. Again, we're fortunate. We go to some of these cons with our friends, and that exactly happens. You go back to the hotel room, because you're splitting your room 3 ways with your 3 friends, and you're all talking and go, "Oh my God, I didn't even see that booth. I got to go there tomorrow." But if you're trying to go to one of these places that your friends can't afford, or you're older now and you're just going by yourself, this is a great way to meet new people, have the same interest, and get that sort of good friend feeling of like, how do I know I'm not missing anything cool? It's almost like you have a bunch of little scouts looking every day. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
I just like the thought that they can meet up afterwards and be like, "Oh my God, I saw Hollywood, and he signed my pen."
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody has the same vocabulary too, right?
Right.
So that when they're talking exactly the way you would, and I think that's really interesting that you can have that type of conversation, and that happens every night. So,
that's awesome.
So again, that's kind of a nice thing for sure. And during those nights, we're not going to limit ourselves to the convention. Of course, we're going to head out onto the Strip and do the Vegas thing too. So yeah, it's going to be fun. And then on Monday we fly home. So
nice.
That's very nice.
That sounds like a great time.
Now,
for sure.
Teras, how are the meals arranged by you? Like, you go to a restaurant, it's prepaid part of the package, or are the meals on your own?
Some of them are on your own, and I think I've learned that sometimes it's best to give the people freedom. It's important to kind of have a balance between having, okay, this is when we're going to get together, everyone, and this is when we're not. And San Diego is San Diego is a good example of that also, because and any gaming convention is an example of that. Adepticon was the same way. Some people are in their seminars at 7:00 at night. Yeah. Some people are gaming at 7:00 at night. Some people are, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so I can't, I always arrange something, but I'm not going to pay for it, because if I pay for it, then everybody else's cost is going to go up, right?
Yeah. Right.
So I just say, no, this particular night we're not going to get together. We're going to get together, but it's on your own. And it works really well, because you can come and go as you please then, right? You have that freedom. And that's another thing that about these tours, that everybody is like, oh God, I'm going to be locked in with these people now. No, not at all. That's it at all. When we're conventioning, I want you to go explore. If you have any issues, if you have any problems, or if you want to have some suggestions, come and see us. And especially come and see us at night if you can. If not, have fun,
there's something. There's something to that nighttime meetup. I like that because, Craig and I have talked about that too. You get like a deer in a headlight sometimes, and there's so much to do that you can kind of get lost with the choices, and this gives you a focus point. You'd be like, you know what? I'm going to check in and see what everybody's doing, and then from there you can regroup.
Yeah.
Totally. Now, I remember when I went to, sorry, Craig.
It's okay.
Did I cut you off?
No. You're the guest. You cannot cut me off. Raef can cut me off.
I can cut him off.
It's just a misunderstanding. You go right ahead.
I remember the first time I went to San Diego, Comic-Con. I went to a booth. I forget what they're called now. Damn it! They create small statues and life-size resin pieces. Like they have a resin piece of a predator skull.
Oh, wow.
And I remember I walked into their booth, and I was looking down at all the statues and everything and going, oh my God, there's so much to see, And I'm looking at this booth and this is such a great booth. It's so cool. I love all this stuff. What am I going to buy? And then I look up and I look at my watch, and I've been in there for like an hour and a half. And then I look up and I like, oh my God, I was just in here for an hour and a half and there's so much to see. So by all means, you get this, you're overwhelmed,
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what's great about this whole thing, that you feel you're still overwhelmed, but you have someone to talk about it with. And that's really, I think, very important.
Yeah. Now, to further your geek cred, I do have to, in the interest of complete disclosure, tell the audience that this is your gaming night that we're taking a little piece away from.
It is, yeah.
And we've taken up already more time than we were planning on. So why don't we bring it down? Why don't you tell us a little bit about PAX, and
Okay,
then
sure.
we'll let you go. What are you playing? 40K tonight?
Yep, 40K Combat Patrol, 400
Nice.
points of orcs.
Okay, well, so
Yes.
before you
Mark.
bring on your orcs, why don't you talk a little bit about that PAX trip, and then I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk to you again in the future.
Sure, that sounds awesome. Well, PAX, as you know, is basically a computer gaming convention. It has other stuff. It does have tabletop stuff, which I was really interested to hear. Tons of keynote speeches, panels, exhibitor booths, tournaments, free play areas, concerts, after-hour parties, the whole bit. So we're really excited about going there, and we're going to do much more than just PAX, of course. We're going to go to see the Pike Place Market, which is a market right by the water. Very interesting place. Tons of stuff to visit. Great place to get a coffee, for instance, as Seattle is known for. And we're going to go to Golden Age Collectibles, which is the oldest comic book store in the United States.
See, look at that.
Go.
You know what else? This is PAX Prime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is at PAX Prime.
This fall. Now, I believe PAX Prime is sold out.
Yeah.
So if you want to go to PAX Prime, you don't have tickets. Geek Nation Tours may be the only way to get there right now.
You're right.
Look at
we
that.
do have tickets.
And you get a cool tour, and you get to see the comic. How cool is that?
Wow, that's there's a selling point right
Look
there.
at that.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much.
I'm just saying. Look at that.
And
That's
to
how-
follow
that's
up on
how
that
hot you know
thought,
it
Teras,
is.
so, if it doesn't, you'll help people if they're like in Chicago and it doesn't make sense, you'll help them figure out how to get to Seattle, basically?
By all means, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If they're wondering how I do it, how I should get there. And this one doesn't have, PAX Prime Tour doesn't have an actual origin and destination.
Okay.
We are bringing everybody from around the world. So,
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. It is sold out, and we still have tickets. So that's really. So, and anyway, the second day we're going to go to the Future Flight Aviation Center in Boeing.
Ooh, that's cool. I'd
And-
go to that.
Yeah, and we're also going to go to the Museum of Flight and ride in a flight simulator there. So,
Oh, cool.
so that's pretty cool there. And the next day we get to go to the Experience Music Project and Science Fiction Museum. And I'm not sure if you know, but they have an Avatar exhibit which has a AMP suit, like a full-size AMP suit. They have Battlestar.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and they have Battlestar. They have Battlestar Galactica. They have a full-size spaceship.
I heard there's a full-size Viper there. See,
Yeah, there's
See, you
full-size Viper.
want to know how to nail your audience, because I'm like, screw PAX. I just want to go to see the Viper. I'm sold.
Yeah, I know.
That's an old school Viper,
Oh,
too.
wait, the Vuvuzela. Oh, no. You know what that
No,
means.
I have to admit too, and and I like how there's a slight deviation, like the Boeing Museum. That I didn't even think of that. I'm like, that stuff geeks like.
That's for us geek
Yeah.
engineers.
You know what I mean?
That's
Hey,
awesome.
This guy knows his
That's
audience.
fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
Dude, I'm ready. Sign me up.
Exactly. Well, good. Come on, we'd love to have you.
I'd love to go to Seattle.
And then that night we actually go on a harbor tour. So I hope they
awesome.
don't lose anybody off the boat.
Wow.
But we're going to see the tour by boat. So by sail, actually.
Craig loves water tours.
I do.
Now, before I let you go, what's the minimum age for your tour? I mean, if you have a
That's
family,
a good question.
what are the
it
options
is.
for kids? How does that work out?
It all depends on the tour. First of all, some of
Okay.
them are adult only. Some of them I do take kids, but with the understanding there's certain things that they just can't participate in.
Sure.
For instance, on the 26th of PAX Prime, which is Friday, that's when it kicks off. We go see the keynote speaker, and then everybody kind of does their own thing. And then that night we're going to go to Sarcastic Gamer's Paxter Life party.
Oh,
it's
sweet.
one of the biggest parties there.
Yeah. And
it's a charity event, and it's tons of fun. And obviously, kids can't go to that.
Right.
So there, we can work the kids in, we can work the families in, we can work the non-geek spouses in, but there are certain things that some of them just won't either want to.
But it's not like they're banned from doing the stuff that a family might want to bring, or is it because it's for adults?
No, there again, there are certain things that they might not be able to participate in. They might not be able to go to the bar with us.
Nice.
Right? You know what I mean? So,
right.
So
darn it.
That's just the way it is. Right? And, but that's okay. They still get to join us for supper, and they'll still have a similar experience. It's just that some things that just don't work for kids. And we're happy to have them. We're happy to have them. We're happy to have families. We're happy to have everybody. So.
Nice.
So, and then Saturday and Sunday we game out. We do our thing at PAX and meet again every night. Do our hints and war stories and then head off home on Monday.
Sounds great.
That sounds like a fantastic trip right there.
It does.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it so much. Seattle's such a great town, and I'm really looking forward to that.
See, I've always wanted to visit. So now you got me. Now I'm getting all excited. Now I got to go talk to my wife.
Yeah, well, we'll take care of her. Come on down.
Well, Teras, thanks. We can't keep you any longer because I know those orcs got to go kick some butt. First of all,
that's right. We sure do.
What Russ said.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time out of your gaming night, Teras, to talk about Geek Nation tours, and we look forward to hearing from you in the future.
Indeed.
Sure. Thank you.
You're listening to the D6 generation. We just love playing around.
Time now for the War Store, bringing the war to your door for a decade and more. And we talked about the War Store a lot in this show. They're one of our favorite internet stores. They got the best prices on the net, and they have fantastic service.
Awesome.
And one
service second to none on the net.
And one of the ways they serve the community, they can just sit back and sell lots of stuff, and that'd be fine. But they also want to give back, and the way they're doing that is the War Store Weekend.
Oh, yeah.
So to find all the information about the War Store Weekend, you go to thewarstoreweekend.com, and you can learn things like War Store Weekend this year, the second annual one. It starts October 7th through 9th, and it's in the Crown Plaza at the Meadowlands in New Jersey. So, hey, it's a great way to go down there, check out New York and the whole area down there if you want to get a little vacation in there. And, they carry all kinds of stuff, terrain, bases, you name it. And what I think one of the fun things at the War Store, too, is make sure you follow Vic the Viking on Twitter.
You need to. Really.
Now, here's why you want to do this, Craig. I don't know if you followed the War Store. It's at the War Store on Twitter, but they always tweet whenever a new listing is up on their store.
Ooh.
Things like, hey, the new July Dystopian Wars pre-orders are up now.
That must be how Jeremy always knows.
That's how he knows, see? If you want to know the latest releases in miniature gaming, follow at the War Store on Twitter. And it's like Vic the Viking whispering in your ear sweet nothings about miniature war games.
It is, and it's insane because today the preview pictures went up for all the new stuff that's coming out in July.
Right.
And because Jeremy the Sherpa follows the War Store, we, in our entire group, had those pictures at like 8 o'clock this morning.
Right.
It's awesome. Amazing and awesome. There's some awesome stuff coming down the pipe for Dystopian Wars.
Yeah, see,
and you get it all from the War Store.
War Store, ooh. I'm not even sure what that noise means. Maybe it's a Viking.
Warhorn.
All right. Well, this is a first for me. We just recorded the last segment of episode 81, and due to the power outage, we had a storm, just a simple Thursday storm, no big deal. That's our normal recording night. and didn't have any power. And so Craig and Russ were gracious enough to not forge ahead, and we just wrapped up our last couple segments, and it was really a really good segment. It's really enjoyable. So here it is. It's about 10:45. I'm giving you a show back behind the curtain. It's been weird weather here. It was 50 degrees today and coldly raining. Got done with a lot of baseball. I've been doing a lot of baseball, eating up my time. Again, like I said, in achievements, my dreams are to get the D-Day boats painted up. Looking forward to that very much. Really did like that new magazine, the new Wargame magazine that we talked about in the top of the show. It was a really nice read, really fun read. Beautiful pictures inside there. Let's see. I had to bail on my Sunday night gaming tonight with Angelo, Doc, and Silverman. Tonight is normally scheduled D&D night, but again, where we had to push the show to Sunday, I unfortunately had to bail out on that. So we're going to try to play on Father's Day. So that'll be a fun Father's Day night. And let's see. Oh, yeah, I do intend to do. I know I keep putting that out there, but once I get the time to, I want to be prepared for the comic primer. I want to get that prepared. I'm probably going to do that in a Hollywood Minute format versus a solo La Lost chapter. I'm not sure how it would come out just by myself. A lot of people have written in and said they would like to see that in Lost Chapter, but they're going to do it out in the Hollywood Minute format. And let's see, been watching Band of Brothers again. That's been fun doing my World War II history, and starting to get the itch for Gen Con. Looking forward to that coming down. And looking forward to doing some events, seeing what new games are out there. Haven't had a breakfast gaming club in a long time. I've been missing that. Just been busy. You know how you get towards the end of the year. Like I said, we've got a lot of baseball games wrapping up, graduations, things like that. The game I want to play is Dungeon Lords. I've been really itching to play that game. Been playing a little L.A. Noire. Been playing a little Rock Band. Loving Lord of the Rings. Just really getting back into that. Got a good crew of people over there, you know. It's just fun. And looks like Silverman, he's got himself a Doghouse PC, so he's thinking about checking out riffs or coming on over here and baking pies. That'll be cool if he wants to join up there, and I welcome anybody to do that. I'm on the Land Roval server. Tune name is Stony, so again, welcome anybody if you want to come check out Lord of the Rings. I think that's pretty much it. I don't think I've got anything super exciting. We're going to go back to old school Hollywood Minute where instead of them being 10 minutes long, they're longer than a minute. Glad to hear Owen back. That's pretty cool. And hey, I think that's all I got, man. Happy gaming out there. Happy summer. And let's roll some dice. See ya.
And another new sponsor on this episode,
right,
is Wargames Soldiers and Strategy Magazine, which is an awesome historical miniature magazine that actually makes historical wargaming look fun.
Now wait a minute, you say that like historical wargaming is not fun.
Oh, that's their
fun.
thing. They want to know that they want to know that they want you to know that it can be fun.
You know what it really does? It makes miniature wargaming magazines look like the big boys. This baby is awesome.
It does. It
looks so
nice,
professional
glossy,
and so high end. Oh yeah, really good stuff.
The pictures are all totally professional. They've got beautiful sketch artwork of all of their different contributors. It's really, really top notch. It looks exactly like it is a full professional magazine.
It could happily sit on the shelves of Barnes and Noble next to other magazines,
and it will.
Right.
So you can look for it there.
Right.
But just some of the things that it does. Every edition or every issue has like a theme, and it helps you translate different historical events and situations into interesting and fun games on the tabletop with different rules and models and how it really turned out and how to do that, and then how to paint the models that go with that. It guides new interested gamers through the maze of entering the historical wargaming hobby.
We talked on the show about how hard that is, and it's great to have a nice little guide, and it shows you a nice wide spectrum.
It does. What is DBA? FOW?
Right.
WAB?
You
GDB?
can figure out all these little acronyms and figure them out for yourself.
De Bellis Antiquitatis, Flames of War, Warhammer Ancient Battles, General de Brigade, all kinds. It's a full spectrum magazine. It's unbelievable.
You know what would be cool, Craig? It would be cool if they had a special deal for D6G listeners. That would be cool.
That would be cool. Maybe next. Oh, wait!
Wait! They do!
D6G deal. If you go now to their website, which is www.wssmagazine.com, and you enter D6G as a coupon code, you will get 5% off any combination of orders from the entire web shop.
Nice! Just for being a
They have a bunch of different magazines that they have also.
Nice. So check out WSS
my favorite
Magazine.
part, I'm going to really quickly because it's awesome that they have a guide in the issue of how to make the diorama that's on the cover.
Oh, cool! Every time,
like step by step.
Sweet.
I think it's a regular feature.
Nice.
This is an amazing magazine. I am thrilled to have them, and I think that you will be thrilled to have them too.
WSSmagazine.com.
This is Total Fangirl. Regular Jane most days, total fangirl when the moment strikes. Han shot first. Starbuck is a guy. And Lestat, now there's a vampire. Hey everyone, this is Nicole, your Total Fangirl. You can find me on Twitter at Nicole Wakelin or check out my blog, TotalFangirl.com. Shout out this week is Saturday, June 18th. Join the skaters in New Hampshire Roller Derby for a flat track roller derby double header. Team Skate Free or Die takes on New Jersey's Garden State Roller Girls, and Queen City Cherry Bombs takes on Connecticut's Yankee Brutals at the JFK Coliseum. Doors open at 4, derby starts at 5, and tickets are $12. One of these days, I'm going to make my way to that. Okay, I try to bring you guys things that you are going to like, but that you never, ever heard of, and I think I found something like that. I have two people with me, Jenny and Dave, and they have created a movie called Rigor Mortis, a zombie love story. That's right, zombie love story. I know you have no idea what I'm talking about. You think I'm a little crazy, so why don't we let them explain? Jenny, want to tell us about your movie?
Yeah, our film is a 37-minute zombie musical. It is also a love story and a comedy, and our goal for it is internet distribution, but we've been also taking it to some film festivals and some Comic-Cons as well.
Excellent. Now, why zombies? How did you even come up with the idea of turning zombies first into a love story and second into a musical?
I'd say I don't really know why zombies. It's kind of funny that we chose that because neither myself nor Jen are really big zombie movie fanatics. Like, we like them, but we only like them insofar as they're kind of campy and hysterical.
Okay.
And I think, in wanting to make something silly and over the top in a musical, sort of zombies just fell into that because, they're inherently funny. Like, when you make them sing and dance and say silly things, like zombie puns basically write themselves. It just kind of fell into place for the movie where, it just sprang out of nowhere and, zombie musical, inherently funny already, and before we even had a script.
So there is no great love of zombies? You didn't watch The Walking Dead or Shaun of the Dead or any of those? Those aren't your favorite things in the world?
Not really at all.
Wow.
It's really more, I think, a passion for musicals and wanting to do a comedy musical and something that would be funny. We're not against zombies in any way. We're by no means big horror fans or anything like that.
Now, so musicals is where you're coming from? Or have you both been involved with creating or participating in musicals in the past?
Well, basically, we both were really big fans of musicals. The initial idea for the project actually sprang from I was watching, Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog had recently come out, and, I probably watched it like 20, 25 times in the first 2 weeks after it came out. Because it was so amazing, and watching it, I was like, well, this is the future of media right here, longer form, higher quality stuff on the web, and I really wanted to do something like that. I really loved musicals, I always have. I thought they're just hysterical, and so I really wanted to do something like that. But oddly enough, neither Jen nor I have really that much musical experience or theater experience or anything like that. Like, I was in band in high school, but neither of us actually had any real right or reason to be making a zombie musical. So it just we got very lucky that Greg Sidlowski, our composer and lyricist, got involved. He's sort of the musical genius behind the project.
And that was one of the questions I was going to ask you. So you guys wrote the story, but you had somebody else who was in charge of writing the music?
We wrote the script, Dave and I, and Dave wrote some of the lyrics for a few of the songs, and then we got Greg, our composer, Greg Sebleski, involved, and he wrote all of the music, and then he and Dave co-wrote the lyrics. So they were kind of in charge of that part of it, and then we, did the other part, the actual movie part of it.
My favorite character in the whole thing, there's only 3 named characters, although there's very many zombies and assorted citizens in this movie. Brock, he's just hilarious. He's going to kill somebody's zombie mom, and he says, "Sorry, kid, even mombies have to die." Who wrote that? Dave, was that you that wrote that line?
I think, I don't remember exactly who wrote the line. It was definitely me or Jen.
It was Dave, actually.
Oh, that was hilarious. Actually, when that line came up, I started laughing, had to hit pause, rewind, and start playing again because I missed what they were saying because I was laughing too hard.
I think that was actually one of those things where, Dave had a few fragments in his mind of what the movie was going to be like, and I think that was one of those lines where he's like, at some point, somebody's going to say this, and we'll just have to work the movie around it.
You worked it in very well, and that the child isn't even horribly traumatized after his mombi is shot. He's just like, "Thanks, Brock, for taking her out." Like, he's a happy child.
We definitely had a lot of fun with that part. We were, when we were at the Phoenix Comic-Con, we had it set up and sort of playing at our booth there. Mm-hmm. And it was always kind of fun to watch when people would stop and watch little bits of the movie, and, once every hour or so that part would happen to be playing.
Yep.
And so you'd see people's reactions, and it was either people laughing hysterically or people looking completely shocked and appalled and shaking their heads, and I don't know which one I actually enjoyed seeing more.
Now, you guys were at Comic-Con, Phoenix Comic-Con. The movie hasn't been out that long. What was the release date on this?
It was May 25th. It was actually the day before we left for Phoenix Comic-Con.
And, well, that must have been pretty exciting because tell everybody what happened at Phoenix Comic-Con.
Well, we were lucky enough to receive the Best Comedy at the film festival at the con, so that was pretty exciting. And, yeah, we just got to kind of promote it and kind of get it out there to its target audience.
Now, are you going to be at any other conventions? Because convention season is really hitting full swing right now. Will there be any place where people can either talk to you guys or to see the movie screen somewhere?
We are, actually. We have been accepted into the Gen Con Film Festival in Indianapolis. That's in August, and we're pretty pumped about that one. We've also submitted to a couple others that we're still waiting to hear back on, Dragon Con, Fantastic Fest, and I think a couple others that I can't remember right now, but Gen Con's the big one that we'll definitely be screening at, and we'll be running around there too, I'm sure.
Fantastic. Yeah, a lot of our listeners will be at Gen Con because, it's a gaming podcast. I'll be there. Are you guys going to have a panel? Do you know what you're going to do yet at Gen Con? Are you all going to be there? Who's going to be there? Tell us.
Well, myself, Dave, our composer, Greg, and another producer, Matt Olson, are likely all going to be there. As far as other cast and crew, we haven't got anything confirmed quite yet. And as far as panels, we just got an email actually yesterday from them listing their panels and asking which ones we wanted to participate in. So nothing's really confirmed, but we definitely want to be there and, participate in as much as we possibly can.
Oh, that'll be fantastic. I think it's going to go over good with that audience, especially, gamers are playing around with, armies and fighting zombies against werewolves, against vampires, against aliens from outer space. So Zombies in Love, that's perfect. Now, if people want to see your movie or if they want to find out more information, and I know you can even get the soundtrack, because really it is a musical. The music is fantastic. How can they find out more about this?
The movie's actually available on our website for a limited time, www.rigamortismovies.com. Rigamortis is spelled Rigamortis, not like the regular rigor mortis. There's an amor in there. It's a play on words that nobody gets. You can also watch our movie for a limited time on YouTube. It'll probably be in a few weeks to a month, heading over to some sites where people will have to pay or sit through commercials. But for now, it's out there and it's totally free, so people should check it out and tell their friends while they have the chance.
Fantastic. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming and telling everybody about your movie. I'm going to definitely be looking for you at Gen Con because I will be there, and I look forward to seeing what you guys do next.
Great.
Awesome. Thanks.
Hey!
Yes?
What are those things you're playing with?
These are my standard approved wargaming miniatures.
Oh, give me a break! You got a blaster who came to the extreme with the power of Wargamma.
Let's try that again. Wargamma makes resin cast models. We do it all. Miniatures, terrain, figure accessories, and even custom bases. Everything is made with attention to detail, unique design, and maximum versatility. I'm James Hakola, creator of the Wargamma line. My aim is to bring a new and creative look to your miniature battles. Our prices are extremely competitive, and we ship worldwide. You'll find us at wargamma.com. That's WARGAMMA.com. Thanks for listening, and good luck on the battlefield.
What a fun episode. I really like those guys. I hope they keep doing it. I wish there was some way I could support the D6 generation.
Anyone can support the D6 generation. The chief way is through donations. Donations and shout-out. Wait. There are two chief ways you can support the D6 generation. You could donate with the lovely donate button on the website, or purchase a shout-out, or buy a lost chapter 3. 3 ways you can support the D6 generation. Donate via the donate button. Go to ebay.the-d6generation.com and bid on one of their shoutouts for the show. Buy a lost chapter ebook for only $1. Leave a positive review on iTunes for that. Wait, I'll need to start again. We're going to come right back in. Okay, just do your thing again.
Okay. Gee, I wish I could support the D6 generation.
Anyone can support the D6 generation. Amongst our methods of support are these. Donate via that cute little donate button on the website. I love that so much. Bid on a shout-out via ebay.the-d6generation.com. Buy a lovely lost chapter for only $1. Leave a positive review on iTunes. Purchase some lovely D6G merchandise. Oh, the little merchandise button. Get some bling for your ka-ching. Visit our sponsors and let them know you've heard it here. They're out here on the D6 generation. Like our Facebook page over at facebook.the-d6generation.com. Follow us on Twitter at The D6 Generation.
The D6 Generation. Supporting the show helps it grow.
Or perhaps send a nice email to Craig's mother. She loves that sort of thing. You know, flowers are good for any occasion. And, you know, it's always exciting to talk about our friends at Myriad Games.
Myriad Games. So many games, so little time.
Now, Myriad Games likes to give back. And first thing they're going to give back on is, of course, Extra Life this fall, October 15th. And be a part of Game Salute, raise money for children's hospitals around the world. You pick your favorite one. We're going to be there. And I heard a rumor.
You know who else is going to be there this year at Myriad Games?
I know, right? A certain Welshman might be there.
A certain Welshman may indeed be making his appearance. So if you've been thinking about coming to visit us at Myriad Games, then October 15th would be the day.
Extra Life is probably the only place you can see the entire D6G team and a Welshman.
That's right. Not just any Welshman.
Now, the other thing, too, is they're giving back on here is they have a very special listener promo for D6G listeners right now. And this is a crazy good deal. Okay,
It is huge.
This deal is just silly. I'll tell you right now, Dan was drinking or something when I was talking about this deal. So here's the deal.
Crazy.
Yes, he's gonna go into business. No, just here's the deal. D6G double deal. For if you go to Myriad Games website, or actually you just got to email them. Actually, I'll explain that in a second. Go to Myriad Games. You can buy a $60 Fantasy Flight role-playing book of your choice, either Death Watch core rulebook or the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Player's Guide. You buy either of those $60. If you do that, you get an additional $60 worth of Fantasy Flight Games RPG stuff for that system, your choice of products, for free.
And as I'm reading this doesn't have to be the core rulebook that you're buying. You could buy a couple supplements that add up to 60 and then get a couple more supplements.
Well, no,
too.
it's got to be the two.
Oh,
it's got to either be the Death Watch core rulebook or the Fantasy Roleplay Player's Guide.
Okay.
After that, though, the next $60 you spend can be anything in either of those systems that match the book. So if you buy the Death Watch book, you can get any other Death Watch stuff. If you buy the fantasy book, any other fantasy stuff. It's a great way to get into the game. It's basically buy one get one free essentially for all that stuff, and it's you do have to pay for shipping because you could be living who knows where ordering this stuff, and it's only while supplies last. You go to myriadgames.com, and on the right hand side there's a little click to email Myriad Games. On the right, click that thing, a little form pops up, fill it out, and make sure you put D6G in the subject.
Yep.
And you can get hooked up.
Do that if you want to get your $60 of free stuff.
Right, $60 of free stuff just for buying a starter book. If you've been thinking about getting into one of these RPGs, this is the way to go.
Yeah, because there are some awesome supplements out there now for all three systems.
Fantastic supplements. All right, so Myriad Games. Check it out, myriadgames.com.
Yep.
Buying a new game is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get till you open it. And then, it's too late. Unless you listen to the D6 generation, and then it's like poking your finger in the bottom of the chocolates, and you can only pick the ones you like.
And the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind.
Dice are our vice.
And welcome back. Now we're going to talk about one of my favorite segments, mulling mechanics. Oh, wait,
yes.
Mulling. Nope, that's not right. Mulling. Oh my God, my echo's not working today. Anyway, that's why Craig's doing it now. Anyway, mulling mechanics, but this time.
Mechanics.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Just help.
But today's topic is a Euro by any other name, or in other words, what makes a Euro game?
What is a Euro?
And this came from listeners who, back when we did the Carson City review, Raef and I got in a little bit of a friendly banter over when is a Euro game, and it was Carson City a Euro game, and which game's a Euro? And a couple listeners wrote in and said they really enjoyed that little 2-minute repartee. So we thought it'd make a great segment, and here we are right now with this segment.
What was the debate? What were the 2 points?
Well, there were multiple points, actually. It was interesting. You went too far as to claim even games like Carcassonne were not Euros. So
okay.
That's right up there. But generally, so they got me thinking about what is a Euro, and what is the generally accepted definition. And here's the interesting thing. So I went around the internet, and I checked a bunch of sites, and there's some general themes, but there's not like an official definition. So here we go. First, I went to Wikipedia. So what you guys should be doing, here's your
after
homework.
tonight, there will be the D6G definition of Euro.
So listeners and Craig and Raef, what you're going to do now is listen to the different definitions and kind of form in your head what you agree with, what you disagree with, and then when we get to the end of all the different definitions, you guys can chime in with what your thoughts are. Ready?
All right.
So Wikipedia says, which Wikipedia is interesting because it's sort of a conglomeration of what everybody edits, but it says they have a theme, but it's loose. 2 different themes that can use the same mechanics. In other words, because the theme's so loose, you could really make several different games use the same mechanics. It doesn't matter. The mechanics don't tie directly to the theme. Combat themes are very uncommon. Player conflict is indirect. And examples that Wikipedia listed were Carcassonne, Puerto Rico, and Imperial. Okay. There is no player elimination in a Euro, according to Wikipedia. They are made for international audiences, meaning that Euro games generally they're not word games like Scrabble. There's not words printed anywhere on the cards or any of the things you use, usually. The board is often random or simply organized. And I think when they're saying random here, they're thinking of games like Settlers of Catan, where the board comes together, or they're thinking an organizer like Puerto Rico, where there's no really board to play on. There's just like a score tracking zone kind of thing. And this is sort of interesting when they said the last point Wikipedia said is that the game designer is also often featured predominantly on the box.
Interesting.
And they also gave Ticket to Ride as an example.
Gaming rock stars.
Right. I thought Ticket to Ride being an example is interesting because I never really thought of Ticket to Ride as a Euro, but I think about Ticket to Ride, you think it's a Euro now as you go through some of this stuff. Now, another blog, a very famous, I don't know if famous is the right word, but there's a blog post that's widely cited and referenced by a lot of different people that sell Euro games, and it was posted by Louis Pulsifer. How'd I do on that, Craig?
I'd say Pulsifer or Pulsifer.
Okay, Louis Pulsifer. He had a blog for the Games Journal back in 2006, and he came up with the essence of a Euro, and here it is. Rarely takes more than an hour to play, so generally they're shorter games.
Yeah.
The rules are simple, whatever that means. Only a few plausible choices each turn. Right. Uncertainty of information, so you don't know everything that's going on.
Yeah.
No player elimination, there's another one again. Very pacific, i.e. there's little combat. Player interaction without overt conflict. So if you think of Carcassonne, right, there's player interaction because I can block what you're doing, but I'm not like fighting you like in Risk. Low downtime, there's short intervals between players. Not many pieces. I don't know about that. Not many cards counters to manipulate per turn. Great visual interest. Abstract to the point where theme appears tacked on. It's another person saying the theme's not really a big deal. Sorry, my bad. Dislike of dice. That's what's supposed to say there. And a positive scoring mechanism, so a scoring track that goes up. And he again also lists Ticket to Ride as an example.
That's outdated.
Ticket to Ride's not outdated. It's still a very hot-selling game.
No, but I mean these articles are using...
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here we go. Now here's one from Euroboardgames.co.uk. This is a company that sells Euro board games currently today. They have a little blurb up there saying what are these games we sell? What's a Euro? So they say theme is usually historical or geographical in setting, and they gave Carcassonne as an example, which is both geographical and historical. Mm-hmm. No player elimination. I think that one's pretty common, and I think I'm starting to agree with no player elimination. Simple rules, but tough decisions.
Oh.
I kind of like that.
That makes sense.
And quality components. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they only had four simple definitions.
That's a judgment call, though.
That's a judgment call, yeah. Now, here is Board Game Geek's definition. And again, they have a wiki section of their website where they define things to terms used to their website. Yeah. So this, I guess, would be the grognards of the board game industry world, I guess, if you want to call it that. Here's what they think. Player conflict is indirect and usually involves competition over resources or points. Again, not direct fighting.
Yeah.
Players are never eliminated. That's a consistent one almost everywhere. No one's disagreed with that. Very little randomness or luck. Interesting. No one else made that point. Mm-hmm. Designers listed on the box. Ooh, there's that again. Designer getting credit. Artwork and components get a lot of attention. In other words, components are nice. Plastic and metal are rare. More often it's wood.
Right.
Euro games have a theme, but it usually has little to do with the actual gameplay. Interesting. Mm-hmm. And the examples they list are Settlers of Catan, Puerto Rico, Carcassonne, Tigris and Euphrates, Kalis, Power Grid, Ra, and El Grande were some of the examples they listed. So these are games that they consider as undisputably Euro.
Right.
So, after all that, Craig, you want to take a shot? What do you feel like? Or, Craig, what do you think a Euro is? How do you define a Euro? Well, you want to go last? Okay, right.
No. I'll tell you what a Euro is. I think Euros are generally boring, frustrating.
All right, nice. Okay, not that you're bitter. No.
No, I'm not bitter at all. I mean, is it just because I don't have a positive review of it? Does that make my review invalid?
No.
I mean, if you look at these, the player conflict is indirect. To me, is boring.
So, do you not enjoy Carcassonne? No, I'm just asking because you said
you'll enjoy games of Carcassonne, but in general, this category because I like strawberry popsicles doesn't mean that most popsicles are gross to me. Maybe I just like strawberry. Maybe I like everything that's strawberry, but the only popsicle I like is a strawberry popsicle.
Okay.
So, which is a typical tactic you use, Russ.
No,
because there are exceptions. That doesn't mean my statement is invalid.
So Carcassonne is the one Euro that's good.
No, there are Euros that are good. As a category, I dislike them. That doesn't. The two things are not mutually exclusive. And your attempt to make them mutually exclusive is just
no. What I'm trying to say is, I guess
you, my friend, are a Euro game.
No, let me
How about that?
You said
you are tedious.
But you
and nobody gets eliminated.
You said
they just get frustrated and ground down.
Well, actually,
my choices.
You've made interesting points because you've said what you don't like about Euros, but you actually haven't said what a Euro is. How do you know a Euro when you see it?
Didn't I just say that player conflict being indirect?
Is that the only thing that makes a Euro?
There.
Yeah, you haven't gone.
But then you jumped in on my. Well, do you like Carcassonne?
All right.
But you don't even say that. That wouldn't be a Russism. The Russism is, how do you like Carcassonne? Because you know I like Carcassonne.
Right.
So you jump in with these rhetorical questions meant to weaken my argument when it's like it's not supposed to be an argument.
It's not an argument. So
odd tactic for you to use.
I'm not even debating you. I'm not even disagreeing with you. All right. So I'm just trying to make sure. I'm just trying to check. I'm just trying to check internal consistency. So because you said on the show before,
that's the problem. You're coming from a point of view where maybe my internal consistency is off, as opposed to just assume that I'm a grown-up that has some ideas that may be different from other people's, but maybe they're valid.
He's not going that far.
So,
He's
wow.
Russism.
So Craig, so do you want to try to define what a Euro is or no? Why don't we come back to Craig? Raef?
He doesn't even see it, does he, Craig?
Raef.
No, he doesn't. That's what's amusing about it.
That's what's so funny about it.
So, Raef, what do you think a Euro is? We'll come back to Craig.
Did you or did you not?
Where were you on the night of October 5th?
I'm going to enjoy more of this fine caramel latte. Will you guys discuss what a Euro is? A second.
What are you going to ask me next? My favorite color? Okay. I don't know. Maybe he's a late sleeper. Maybe he likes to pack light.
Sorry, folks. We'll get back to the point in a minute here. All right. So, you want me to go then? Sounds like maybe. No.
Well, I think it's odd that you let me go and then you stopped me, and then you offered it to Raef, but then kept talking about your Macchiato, whatever the heck you're drinking, and then you said want me to go. So I think deep down inside, Russ, you want to go. So I say go ahead.
No. I want to go.
I wanted Raef to go, but you guys started talking about other things. What do you want, Raef? What do you got, Raef?
We're not talking about other things.
What do you think a euro is?
It's all connected. I define a euro as combat is uncommon, and that's where the dice comes in. Dice are used, but they're not often used to simulate combat. Because I'm thinking Kingsburg, they use dice, but it's just a mark on the board. The conflict is indirect, and no player elimination is a theme. But I would argue that there are games with effective player elimination, meaning if you screw up enough in the early turns, you're out. I mean, you're in, but you're out.
You are out.
You're out. And you have choices. Lots of choices.
Okay.
Now, what I would argue makes a good Euro game, to add to that definition, but I don't think it defines it, is that it's visually stunning.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Euro games in general try to look cool and be cool.
And that is why I would, holding my definition, I don't think Carcassonne fits into a Euro game because I don't see that there's really many choices. Number one, I mean, yeah, you could say, well, you could orient the tile, but I don't know. It's not the same type of choices. Do I buy wood, or do I buy clay, or do I get the sheep? I know, unless you guys can argue, I just don't see flipping the corner as that much of a choice, really.
Well, also where you would put it.
I think Carcassonne has some tough choices, but let's not get into individual games yet. We can. I think we can later. So you're saying tough choices.
Yep.
It generally will look good, but not always, right? And then what was the other one?
Combat uncommon.
Combat uncommon. And you said
conflict is indirect.
Conflict indirect. You agree with it? Okay.
Now, what does that mean? Conflict is indirect.
It means you're not actively fighting each other directly. Like you're not killing other guys.
You're like bidding for things and you're stealing stuff, but you're not like actually eliminating other guys' things. You're eliminating their choice.
I have a problem
to me, I think of it as Rune Wars. So I'm not fighting Russ's territory, but in
Except that in Rune Wars you do fight.
That's what I'm saying. That is conflict is direct.
I think he's trying to say Rune Wars is not a Euro. I think he's trying to
correct.
Okay.
Right. And then conflict is indirect would be I take the wood right when Russ needs it.
Right.
Okay, I get it. Now, when you say it's visually stunning, though, see, to me, there's a strange dichotomy in Euro games where there's usually some beautiful artwork involved, but then the pieces are usually very minimal and in cubes or maybe if you're lucky.
Yeah, I said the wrong thing. What was defined with the visuals? What was the definition for that? Great visual interest.
Yeah, the games look cool to stare at. I think they're interesting to look at. I think what I'm trying to say.
To me, that's not.
To the whole,
define
to me, the whole game isn't. The board is. That's just.
I'm thinking Pillars of the Earth. To me, is interesting all the way through. I think from the shapes of the pawns to the little funny looking meeples there to the bag.
Right. I would argue that it's sort of. I mean, it's more visually interesting than your average. Like, what's your average Euro game, quote unquote?
Well, I think all these games are Euro games. Settlers of Catan, Carcassonne.
Settlers is real boring to look at, to me.
I agree.
I mean, you can get really nice.
Yeah,
again,
actually, no, I disagree.
There are areas where there's really nice visual components, but to me, when you look at the board itself, it doesn't make a beautiful.
Well, I disagree. Actually, I don't like the game of Settlers. I don't enjoy playing it, but it's definitely a Euro, and I think you could argue it has good visual interest because of the colors, the shape, the tiles, and the three-dimensionality of it.
That's what I'm trying to say. That, like, when you see the board and the board's that's got really nice visuals and it's got it's really nice artwork on it, but then on top of that is just stacks of cubes or the long. I really don't like about Settlers is the roads being just those big long
wood
rectangular wooden pieces.
Yeah, to me it still holds interest though because of its three-dimensionality. It's funny you should say that, Craig. I was flipping through my iPhone and we had pictures of Pandemic when the three of us played at our last meeting.
Yeah.
And I found it visually stunning. Like, in other words, I was drawn to all the colored cubes and the boards and the red lines, like just as if it were a painting.
Huh.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And just as a contrast to that,
So
Puerto
you're
Rico,
like a 3-year-old as far as your what's visually stunning.
What are you doing?
pretty much.
Now, see,
Puerto
Russ,
Rico.
that was a direct insult.
Yes, that was a direct.
And I would like to withdraw it. I just said it for effect. I don't think he's actually a 3-year-old. So see what I did there, Russ, was I insulted him, but then I used it as a sort of a reflective thing.
Right. Sort of like the
Now,
passive
Puerto
aggression after
Rico
Middle Lane, just like
is visually unstunning and is actually a good Euro game. But like I defer not to like playing Puerto Rico because it's not as visually stunning. So that's why I don't hold it as a definition.
But when I think of visually stunning, to me, I'm thinking of things like Battles of Westeros or like Descent, like something that's got
How about
lots
we do
of
this?
models.
Let's put this down because the visual stunning thing today in the modern gaming world is a silly differentiator.
Yeah,
because there's visually stunning, clearly non-Euro games. I think the visual stunning thing came from a time when the American games were Monopoly and Risk. Right?
Yeah.
And the Euro games were Settlers and Carcassonne, which
Ticket
are these
to Ride.
interesting artwork and things like that.
Well, I also think, like I said, it's a judgment call. So each person is going to find, just like
But I don't think you
Raef really likes that, all the different three-dimensionality of the cubes, whereas I'm looking for more distinctive three-dimensionality. I don't think that's a really good identifier.
I think there's too many good-looking games on both sides, so I don't know that it really makes any sense anymore. So was that your whole thing, Raef?
Yep.
Not to make it sound short, but okay. So here's what I came up with. Because I was trying to figure out because I think Euro is kind of like porn. You kind of know it when you see it, but it's hard to define. So
okay, Congressman.
So when do I feel like it's a Euro? I think the biggest thing for me really is the low downtime. Turns for Euros are very, very integrated. And so when the turns are really integrated, I feel like I'm in a Euro. I feel like I'm moving and then it's someone else's turn really quickly. I agree with the simple rules and tough decisions. I think that really feels like a Euro when Euro games are generally easy to teach in terms of the mechanics of the game. Everybody gets them really quickly. But you're always, as Craig always says, feels like a typical Euro to me. I have too many things to do and not enough stuff to do it with.
Right.
It's those tough decisions, right? I agree with the no-player elimination. I know what you're trying to say, Raef, whether you could be a loser from the beginning and never come back.
Yeah.
But what they're saying with no-player elimination is Bang, for example, player elimination game. It sucks to be shot in the first 30 seconds and be out for the rest of the game.
Right, that's right.
Even if you're losing in Carcassonne, you're still in the game playing.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Still social. So Risk, same thing. So that's what they're trying to say there, I think. And I don't think I've seen a Euro that has player elimination in it. True player elimination.
Yes, I agree.
I think, for me, the components, I'm not going to go into the visual part because I just agree with myself for canceling it. But having wooden components definitely makes it feel more Euro to me for some reason. Right. Even though I have an old school Risk game that was all wood back from 1945 or something.
Yeah, but I don't think that
modern
counts.
American games are not really wooden, right? And
you don't see Battlestar Galactica in wood.
Right. That's changing. It is changing a little bit. Both sides are using different things.
Well, that's everything's
like
so integrated now that you're going to find.
Yes.
You're going to find,
But when you see wood, you think Euro, kind of, right? It's sort of their
yeah, especially if you see rods and discs. And
it's an indicator, but not a determinator. How's that?
Oh, that's pretty
good. Very nice.
I also feel like a point system for victory is very Euro, right? Having the little victory card track on the edge,
Yep.
having to worry about points, that's a very Euro thing. Where in a lot of American games, it's just kill the other guy and win that way, kind of thing. Again, which has player elimination, of course. So there you go. I agree also with the open conflict thing. I think there is this new hybrid, which we'll talk about in a little bit, where there is a lot of conflict in Euro-style games, but like Shogun, for example, feels Euro, but it's a fighting game, even though it's kind of not a fighting game. I mean, you know what I mean? But I think, generally speaking, though, all the classic Euros and the games that most people think of when you say Euro are not direct conflict. There's a screw your neighbor element, but it's screw your neighbor because you're taking the resources they need or taking their spot. There's not like I'm going to invade your land or wipe out your kingdom. And I'm not sure about the game length rule applying. There's a couple of them said,
No,
short.
I agree.
I don't know. A lot of Euros are short. They're not usually as long as the other ones, but then you've got I think most people nowadays would say Agricola's a Euro, although interestingly, no one game, including Board Game Geek, no one gave Agricola as a Euro example, interestingly. But it is a longer game, right? So Agricola doesn't really fall into the hour rule. But I would say they're shorter. I'd say they're generally under 2 hours. You're not going to find a Euro that plays like all day like Twilight Imperium does, right? There's not really I don't think. I can't think of a Euro which goes. You could pay 6 hours of Euro. I don't know that exists.
You know what definition I like? In place of players are never eliminated. That
What's
fits
that?
better. Is play is often solo. Solitaire.
I like that. That's something I thought I read somewhere, but I didn't include it here. It's it's not that you're not affected by other players, but that you're building this little kingdom that is insulated from the other players.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if you look at a game like Dungeon Lords, which has combat in it, the combat is against the game. You're not really directly in. The only thing you're doing with the other players is they're taking resources you need, or you're stealing resources they need, right? But in the actual combat of the game, there's no player interaction. So I think it's your own little engine. You're building your own little dungeon.
Right. Because what I was thinking of is like Factory Manager is one of those where if you kind of bungle it turn 1 or turn 2, you're not going to win. But if you just say, well, I'm going to do the best with what I've got, I'm going to make this most efficient as I can, it's still rewarding because it's solitaire.
Yeah. All right. So does everybody feel like we have a handle on what a Euro is? I'm not sure we do, but I think we sort of do. So, Craig, since you haven't had a chance yet, and because now that Raef and I have kind of
did have a chance, but
so what do you think, quickly, like 2 or 3 bullets, what do you think a Euro is? What's your definition?
2 or 3 bullets. Okay. I totally agree with the simple rules and tough decisions, and I think the threshold for me, a good Euro, bad Euro, is that once it gets too tough, then I don't want to play it anymore. Theme, I think, is huge. I think if you look at a huge array of Euro games, the themes most often are more commonplace. I guess conflict is good to me, enjoyable to me, or exciting to me, and many of these don't have that direct conflict in their theme or in their games. Which is frustrating, although I do like some games that don't have that direct conflict.
Interesting.
And I think about the components being wood most often, not shaped most often. But again, there are exceptions to every rule, and the more everything gets intertwined, the more those exceptions become the gray rule, I guess.
All right.
And that's
all right. So I think the best way to maybe try to figure out what a Euro is, besides these wacky definitions we come up with, is maybe go down a list of some common games and some of the games maybe we've reviewed too, and see if we can easily put them into categories to help, so you can kind of get that feeling of how you kind of know it when you see it, right, on a Euro. Right. So here's the list of games that I think are definitively Euro, that anybody, almost anyone on the planet who has any familiarity with board games and what a Euro is versus an American game is, you'd say this game and they'd think Euro. Okay, so here we go. And now this is just ones I thought of, but please feel free to disagree with me because I might be wrong. Here we go. So ready? Carcassonne. Any debate? Euro?
I want to debate it, but it fits the rules.
Right. Settlers of Catan. Any debate?
Nope.
I think those are the two of the games that really much brought Euro to America, actually. Puerto Rico. Any debate?
Never played.
I've played it before. Not my cup of tea, really, but it definitely feels like a Euro to me. Power Grid. Any debate about that?
No.
I've only watched it.
Zularetto? That's a
Never
great
played.
It's a great Euro game. You'd like that one, Craig. No conflict, but you're building a zoo. It's fun. Risa liked it in about 5 years, so give him a try.
There you go. I've tried to buy it. I tried to buy it once, but it didn't work out.
Karen would probably like it, too. Ticket to Ride. Now, here's an interesting one. This has been given as an example a lot. It is plastic. The only thing it kind of breaks is the trains are plastic instead of wood. I mean, really, think about it. And we didn't say all Euro games have to be wood.
Well, the conflict is indirect. There's no player choices.
I mean, how can, it's pretty much Power Grid, really. I mean, how is it dissimilar from Power Grid when you think about it, really? I mean, it's trains instead of.
Well, it hits all your bullets.
Yeah, it's pretty much a Euro. Sure. It's just plastic.
But wait a minute. Does Sorry hit all the bullets?
No.
What doesn't it hit?
Sorry. I don't think Sorry has. Well, first of all, it uses dice, which we didn't really define that, but I think that's part of it. Random move.
It just uses dice to move.
Yeah, there's not simple decisions, complicated choices, though. There's no complicated choices in Sorry.
Well, is it complicated choices or just choices?
Well, difficult choices. There's no difficult choices in Sorry.
Difficult choices, okay.
There's no tough decisions in Sorry, right? I would say.
Yeah, no, there's
not. I don't
not.
think the components in Sorry come close. I mean, the components... Sorry doesn't look really great either, right?
Well, I think that any little kid's game that has just pawns, you're going to think it hits a couple things, but most of those are, you're rolling randomly and you're trying to beat everybody around the board, and that's it.
Because Ticket to Ride can be a pretty meaty game if you play with people who know what they're doing.
Right.
There's a lot going on.
There's multiple different ways you can get points. I
think Ticket to Ride is a Euro.
I don't like it.
Now, what don't you like about it being a Euro, Raef? What's pushing
to me, it goes in the Sorry category.
You think Ticket to Ride is as simple as Sorry?
Too simple?
Not simple, but not as simple as Sorry, but more in the kid Well, but I don't mean to insult anybody. I mean, I like playing it with my wife too. She really likes the game. I don't know. We need a Euro light category. Like, it does fit the definitions, but maybe I just think of it as a rail game. And although rail games are Euro games, I just, in my head, I think of them as rail games.
If you look at it, though,
whole separate genre.
Yeah, it looks very similar to the Power Grid in terms of how you stretch things out and connect things. So I don't know. All right, what about Founding Fathers? Any debate there?
Nope.
I think Founding Fathers is at its core a Euro. No, but
that's a fun game.
It is.
Right, but I think the where that slides away from Euro for me is theme. Because to me, the theme of that
theme
game
is too closely built into the system.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting.
It's to me, it's not only is it not tacked on, but it's integral to everything that's going on and how you're scoring points. And
that's a good point.
Whether you're debating or you're trying to eliminate. So
when you play it, does it feel like a Euro or does it not feel like a Euro?
It feels like a Euro in that you have lots of options.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a Euro pumped up a little bit because it's got
wood.
all those the tokens and everything,
Stickers,
and they're all wood basically, right? So other than the components are basically Euro, and those multiple choices that it has where you're trying to deal with your limited resources. So I get the game itself is Euro, and I wouldn't disagree that it's Euro.
But it doesn't feel like Euro. Now let me ask you this:
it does it because of the theme. When you're inside it and you're making these decisions, they don't seem like abstract decisions. And to me, most Euro games seem abstract.
Okay.
And Founding Fathers to me doesn't seem abstract because the theme is so integral and so well tied to the whole thing.
See, I think he's onto something here. Is one of the definitions of Euro is that the theme can be tacked on.
Well,
so in other words, if you take Power Grid, that could be delivering. That could be delivering mail. It could be dwarves delivering gems.
So what's interesting
doesn't matter.
What's interesting is the internet definitions all talked about theme, but the three of us never mentioned theme.
Right.
We all didn't feel like, and I think it's because modern Euros have that less. I think that's less of a part of modern Euros than it was of earlier Euros.
But it is a big part of the Euros that I don't like.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to define what a Euro is, not really say what, because I don't. I don't like some of these either, but I think they're definitely Euros. Like Founding Fathers. This is an interesting question. You like Founding Fathers, or do you not?
I did.
You do, yeah. So it's an interesting one.
But I think if you look at the Euros that I do like,
strong theme.
It's going to be because they're breaking that particular part of the definition that everybody else used that we didn't mention.
So does Carcassonne break the definition? Does it feel like the theme really works?
Oh, maybe it does.
Yeah, maybe
Carcassonne to me is fits in with all of these very, very specifically, and it could be anything that you're connecting to, and it could be spaceships, and it could be
Carcassonne could be anything, right? Because we've seen reboots of Carcassonne.
Abstract.
Yeah, it's very. We've seen what's the one we played not too long ago that was really fun. The modern version, the steampunk version. What was that? I forget now.
Oh yeah. No, it's a sci-fi version.
Yeah, but it's basically Carcassonne again with a little bit of
exactly. It could be. It could be
right.
anything.
You're right. Okay, what about Pillars of the Earth?
Never played.
Craig, what do you think?
Pillars of the Earth is absolutely yes.
Absolutely a Euro.
I think it absolutely is, but it's kicked up a notch. I think the theme, because it's so tied, it's very specific and focused. You're trying to build that cathedral.
Yep.
And I think all of the components are the board is beautiful. The way it flows and lets you know what from move to move to move is beautiful. And the fact that the entire game is focused around that one beautiful chunk of wood in the middle that's slowly developing into a three-dimensional cathedral, I think it's Euro, but it's like Euro on steroids.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it really captures the theme more than other Euros sometimes, and I think it leads you through it in a very nice way, but it still has tough decisions.
Right.
Yeah, so I think Pillars is one of the reasons I did not decide to put theme in my definition, because Pillars captures theme so well.
Right, and I think that maybe, I'm looking at it and I'm seeing, I think theme really is, when you say Euro game to me, I'm thinking things like Agricola or Power Grid or Factory Manager and all of those where theme is really not part of the experience. You know what I mean? It's kind of like an overlay to say, you're not going for, victory points, you're going for amps or whatever.
But it's interesting because I think of themes like, you're right, all those are ones you don't care for that are Euros, and they're definitely Euros. But there's also Euros we do like Carcassonne and Founding Fathers and Pillars of the Earth.
And Stronghold.
Stronghold, let's talk about that a little later. That are definitely Euros,
Right.
But we do like them, right? So, like, I think Euros as a genre isn't really a genre that I can say I don't care for. There's certainly some games in Euros I don't care for, just like there's some American games I don't care for either. I don't like Monopoly at all. But there's also some Euros I really, really like. You know, and I'd hate to see a European player say, well, I don't play American games. They suck. Look at Monopoly. I'm like, well, that's great, except there's FFG out there that makes great American games, so, you know.
Right. But I think that then it all comes down to defining your terms.
Right.
And if you define Euro without including theme, which we did, then you can ignore that. But I think considering everybody else where you had all these other definitions, they all included theme.
Yeah.
If you're going to include, if you say, well, using our definition of Euro games, yes, I like Euro games. If you use their definition, then the pool of Euro games that I like becomes a much smaller.
Yeah, but see, I think as Raef said earlier, those definitions, we're here to fix a problem on the planet.
Oh, wow.
And the problem on the planet is those are the only definitions of Euros right now. And I think, as Raef said, they're outdated. I think a lot of Euro games now have strong integrated themes, maybe thanks to American games, maybe not. But I don't think anybody on those lists, if you put Pillars of the Earth in front of one of those people, or you put even Founding Fathers, I don't think they tell you that is not a Euro.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Even though it doesn't break the theme rule. So I think the theme being super abstract is something that's kind of gone away. Or maybe it's still there. There's certainly still Euros that are totally abstracted themes, but I think there's also not ones. Like if you look at Reiner Knizitz's stuff, he's a really famous Euro game designer, yet he's doing the new Star Trek game, which is full of themes. So like he has the capability to do it, it's just he doesn't always do it that way, so it's sort of interesting.
Right. Mm-hmm. Or maybe he's sensing that that's changing.
Maybe winds are changing. Now here's an interesting one. What about Survive Escape from Atlantis? Now it's got the tiles like Carcassonne, got the dynamic board thing one of those people mentioned. It's got a lot of wood in the current version, but the original version was an American game with plastics.
And conflict is not indirect.
Well, conflict is indirect. We don't fight each other.
Yeah, you do. You sink other people's boats.
You can eliminate each other's boats.
But you don't. But you don't. Like my
just
blue
because
guys
you're the one, but just because you're using a sea monster to do it, you're doing it in your turn. It's not the game itself just causing it to happen.
Correct.
So you think because you can directly screw another player?
Yes.
Even though you can do that in Carcassonne by playing Sigma Peace or killing a farmer?
No. First of all, you can't kill anything.
Well, I mean, screw it by mess them up, right?
You can mess them up, which I think is the whole definition of the Euro game where you're indirectly in conflict.
Yep.
But in Survive, you're actually eliminated, and you can be eliminated from Survive. I mean, it's hard to do.
Yeah, I guess you're right. No, you're right. Okay, I'll go with that. Survive is not a Euro.
I don't think it's a
Which
Euro.
Which makes sense because it was
and
made
it comes with all
originally.
kinds of cool shaped wood.
Well, so do some other Euros, too, maybe.
Yeah, no, I know they do.
I mean, Carcassonne invented the meatball, right? Or I don't know if they did, but they were pretty early up there.
Right.
Okay, so I would agree. I think Survive is not, and it makes sense it's not really a Euro because it was made way before, Euro games hit the States, so it's probably not.
It was made before Europe even existed.
Well, not quite. Yeah, that's how that worked, because America was made before Euro existed, too.
Yeah, well, it's all about us.
All right. All right, now there's some games. So we just went down some games which I thought were definitely Euros, except for Survive. I think I was sort of right? So did I miss any? Are there any Euros that are definitely Euros that we kind of always think are Euros I didn't mention?
Well, you didn't mention Agricola.
Yeah, see, I left Agricola down in What About? I would like to come back to Agricola later.
Okay.
I'm not sure Agricola is a Euro. Oh, how's that?
Wow.
Something doesn't. Anyway, we'll go back to that later. All right. So what about games that are definitely not Euros? So we just went through games that were pretty much hard to argue were not Euros. How about these? So is Twilight Imperium a Euro?
No.
No. Neither is Risk nor Monopoly. I think it's pretty safe to say.
I think
do
Monopoly.
we want to
fits the
spend any
definition,
time
but-
saying why? I mean, Twilight Imperium. Let's just go down your definition. Low downtime. No. Simple rules. No. No player elimination.
No player elimination.
The components are typically wooden.
No.
Is there a point system for victory?
No.
Open conflict is rare.
No. Right.
Not sure game length rule applies. You think they should,
I think there should be a game length
done
rule.
in like 90 minutes to 2 hours? No.
No, right. So that's definitely dead. I think Risk also fails the definition for many of the same reasons Twilight Imperium fails the definition.
Yep, conflict.
Low
Now,
downtime
Monopoly,
is
can
not
you
there.
eliminate another player?
No.
Yeah, I guess you can, right?
No, but Monopoly breaks because it's simple. There's no tough decisions in Monopoly except who to trade with. But otherwise, it's random movement. Monopoly, I don't think has a lot of the.
Okay.
I don't think there's a lot of. There can be long downtime Monopoly. Actually, I guess it's not super long, but it can be long downtime. The game's not short. Monopoly games usually go forever, and it's player elimination Monopoly.
Yeah.
The only way to win is to eliminate everybody else. So, And no definition of Euro includes player elimination. That's an interesting little note. What about Russian Crush? I think it fails on player elimination right there. Boom. Right? Racing game. Yep. What about Space Hulk?
Conflict.
Direct conflict. Yep. What about Descent?
Ooh, Descent.
Descent.
Well, you've got. Well, no, you don't have any player elimination.
You have long downtime in Descent.
There's long downtime.
I don't think long downtime is a true definition of Euro, by the way.
I do.
It defines if it's a good Euro or not.
None of the Euros we listed in the definite Euros have long downtime.
Dungeon Lords can.
We didn't list Dungeon Lords in the definite Euro category.
It's a Euro, though, I think.
Well, let's talk about that later. I have it down later in the list because of that reason.
Power Grid can have the long downtime.
Okay, maybe. So what about other areas in Descent? I think we all know. Okay, first, do any of us actually think Descent is a Euro?
No, but now that we look at it, I'm wondering
That's
why.
the thing. Why do we think?
I guess it is direct conflict.
It's direct conflict. Yeah, you're fighting directly. The rules are not simple compared to a Euro either. There's a lot of complicated little fiddly rules you got to look up.
That's true. Okay.
What does this do? What does that do? Yeah.
And there's not a lot of tough choices other than like what weapon you're going to use and things like
now,
that.
Here's an interesting one. We shot Descent down with conflict. Castle Ravenloft. Okay. No conflict between the players. The players are all co-op.
It's against the board.
No, but it's co-op. That's like Pandemic, right? It's co-op with the players. The players can't hurt each other, and they don't mess each other up.
Right.
And there's no player elimination. So why? And I agree, Ravenloft's not a Euro. I would not define it as Euro at all. But why is it not? Are the rules too complicated?
Because you're fighting the board. Which Pandemic's an interesting.
I think combat's a
contrary.
theme. Maybe because combat is a theme. Because I kind of agree that combat as a direct theme does not a Euro make.
Right.
Except there's these hybrids now. But let's for this. I think we have to keep that because I agree. I look at Ravenloft. I don't even remotely feel like it's a Euro, and yet it doesn't really break any of the Euro rules directly, right? Does it? I don't know. Except for the combat one.
Yeah.
Civilization of the board
point system for victory?
No. You just survive to the end. That's another one. No points either. Maybe that's it. No points.
Yeah. The components are all very plastic and
so not wood.
Three-dimensional, not wood.
Yeah, I guess if you miss enough of them, then it doesn't feel like a Euro anymore.
Yeah, and it's like a scale.
Yep. Now, Civilization, the board game's interesting. The board's dynamic, but it's got direct conflict, so I think we can throw that out, right? Direct conflict. Pretty much if you're at war with each other, it's not a Euro. Is that pretty much what we're saying?
I don't know.
All right.
I mean, Civilization's got a lot of choices that you have to make.
All right, yeah, that's true. So we think Civilization then is not a Euro, right?
No Euro.
No, I'm not sure. That's what I was saying.
Well,
it's got a lot of choices.
Direct conflict,
right?
though. I think direct.
It has, but does that immediately say you're not a Euro? There's no Euro with direct conflict.
Let's put it this way.
Is that what we're saying?
Well, let's look at all the categories, right? So there's can be long downtime in Civilization,
right?
Between players.
Still don't agree
Although
with that.
Actually, there's not that much long downtime in Civ. That's one of the things I like about it.
That's what I'm.
Yeah. There is direct conflict. There's no wooden components. I don't know if that matters, but that's another one. Pink.
Right, but there's not. I mean, there aren't that many components. Period, aren't there?
Yeah, I don't feel like
little
it's
flags,
a Euro,
and you've got the little So I mean, those could easily be wood.
Yeah, Civ might be one of those games that's closer to a hybrid. Because
that's what I'm thinking.
It feels Euro-y, but because of the combat, we kind of all don't think it's a Euro. But it's got some of those. Fantasy Flight's definitely been adopting Euro elements.
Right. To me,
Okay, it's close.
Direct conflict is less important than multiple choices with limited resources.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
To me, the minute there's direct conflict or combat, boom, you're not a Euro.
Yeah, but there's other games that are kind of close. Like, let me give some examples.
I'll agree it's close,
Okay.
but I would
let's call it close. We'll come back to that topic. Remember that. Bang, I think it's definitely not a player elimination. Bang, not a Euro. And can a pure card game be a Euro?
Yes.
Give me an example.
That one that I didn't like that won all those rewards.
Haggis?
And what's that other one?
Ransomy Haggis?
No.
Is this thing on?
We can hear you, Craig, but it's
not Haggis. No,
it's not Haggis because he loves Haggis.
What was that one, Russ? We played it in the airport, and it had the little stone masons in the wheel.
But that's Invention. What is it?
Yes.
Yeah, but that's not a Euro. I don't think it's a card game.
I think it is.
Yeah, but I don't think it doesn't have the wood.
Now, Russ saying it's not a Euro because it's a card game is going to a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, I think. Well, that's my conclusion. I think my opinion is you can't be because I need the wooden components. Like I think as soon as you make Carcassonne the card game, that's no longer a Euro, although it's based on a Euro.
Interesting. Okay, that's not part of my definition that you need the components. And that other game, what's that? More the better version of that game, Invention or Intervention or whatever it's called.
Seven Wonders.
Yes.
Yeah. Seven Wonders is good, but doesn't feel like a Euro to me. It feels like a good card game. I don't know. That's me, though. It's just how I am. Right. What about Mansions of Madness? Is Mansions of Madness a Euro?
Nope.
I think for the same reason Descent was not.
Right.
Okay. Battlestar Galactica, is that a Euro? You're co-op, sort of, kind of, maybe?
You're co-op, and you're using limited resources, but you don't have really a lot of decisions. You're either the good guy or you're a good guy.
And there is a bad guy who's working against you, so there are other players who are trying to directly conflict with you.
Combat, too.
Yeah. And with the expansions, there's player elimination.
Yeah, player elimination, right. What about Battlelore or Westeros, those games where you fight each other?
No.
Fight me!
Again, now that's interesting because we said combat might be okay, but those don't feel like Euros at all. I think it's because game length, maybe.
There's game length. Yeah. There's the fact that you're not just moving around little wooden squares. You're moving around little plastic pieces.
Downtime is short.
Yep.
But all right, what about this?
Well, maybe not, because you could take forever trying to figure out where to move your guys.
You can, but you really don't do much. You move only 1 or 2 units usually.
It feels more like a miniature game to me.
Okay. What about Horus Heresy, the board game? Horus Heresy.
Supernaut?
Yeah, except it's got some interesting Euro elements in it. It's got a point tracker, right?
It does. Yeah.
That helps you do time intervals.
But again, like you said, Fantasy Flight is kind of bringing these Euro elements into its American games.
That's what I think
they're
doing.
Just blurring the line.
And I think we can blur. I think we can also
difficult.
say that Rune Wars and StarCraft, same reason, they're not really Euros. Right. Although what's interesting is there's no player elimination in Rune Wars, which is sort of interesting. I guess it could happen in theory, but almost never does. Tomb. What about Tomb, the board game? What do we think of that?
Well, I hate it. So
that could make it a Euro. That's how it started, right? All Euros. Wait, no, joke. No, sorry, just kidding. Little joke there.
Yeah, I got it. No, I don't.
I don't think so.
To be totally honest, my brain doesn't even have the space for.
I like the next topic.
Now here, okay, these are the ones that I think are.
So did we say Tomb yes or no?
I think Tomb is no. No, it's too long. There's a lot of downtime, and
the game stinks.
And I like Tomb, but it definitely has. It's not a Euro. What about this Small World?
Interesting.
Now, Small World
feels Euro in my gut.
Feels like a Euro, but really, if you think about it, there's direct player conflict fighting each other for land.
But it's very abstracted.
It is, but you're still fighting over territory. And this is why I think Small World is the reason that I feel like Chaos in the Old World is also kind of Euro, which is sort of weird.
Yeah. I think this is a true hybrid. This is a donkey.
Yeah.
Or a mule.
Yeah, I think
it's a mule.
It's a mule.
Yeah. Do you agree? I mean, is small? See, here's the thing. And why do we think it's a hybrid and not actually Euro? Because of the conflict?
Because the area conquest is abstract.
Right. So I think what we're saying is that we've kind of been pretty certain the idea that conflict is not a Euro make, except that there's these games that really Small World totally feels like a Euro when you're playing it.
Totally.
And so the other one does is Shogun. Remember the game we reviewed with the little cubes you put in the towers and they fight? That feels like a Euro to me too.
Not me.
Does it feel like a Euro to you, Craig?
It does.
Yeah, because of the simple decisions.
Yeah. And because
does it feel like it? But are you calling it a true hybrid?
I'm calling it a hybrid, but it feels like a Euro. You know what I mean? Like Small World and Shogun feel like Euros to me, but I know they're not. Some part of me knows they're not because of the conflict.
Okay.
Is that weird? What do you think?
Weird, but I get it.
So are we calling these hybrids then? I kind of feel like they are.
Yes. But I vote no on Shogun hybrid.
A new breed of game.
But is Small World a hybrid then? Small World's
Small World
hybrid
is a
idea,
hybrid.
which is really Euro mechanics.
Where does it fall down on Euro game? Just because it's got conflict?
I think conflict's the only place you can really bring it up.
Yeah. So I think that's a hybrid that's way more horse than donkey.
Yes.
Or way more donkey than horse, depending on where you come from.
Now, what about Pandemic? We started talking about Pandemic earlier. Is Pandemic a Euro? So why is Pandemic a Euro?
There's almost no downtime because you're all working together.
Yep.
The rules are very simple.
There is conflict. It's you against the board.
Yeah, but see, I don't think that matters. I think I'm with Craig on that, though. I think conflict only matters if it's player conflict.
Direct conflict. Now direct conflict only matters if it's... Oh, interesting.
Because conflict, the game isn't really a person. You're not conflicting with it.
But it's not I call Pandemic a hybrid because it's not a solitaire game.
Yeah.
It's cooperative. It's direct conflict against the board.
That's the first time we've mentioned solitaire as a rule, though, as something that it has to be now,
we
too.
hinted at it
solitaire, for me, is in place of no player elimination.
Well, but there's no...
You mean no player interaction?
No, I removed on my own list no player elimination to solitaire. I changed that. But
okay. Well, I think
you haven't mentioned that in any of these games we've looked at, though. I don't think.
Well, no, everything still fit.
Well, okay. So I think here's the thing. I think Pandemic is a Euro for some reason. Do you agree, Craig?
I do,
and I don't know why though, because I don't think like Ravenloft is not a Euro.
Yeah, I vote hybrid.
And
but
so
see, this is.
but
let me go down. Okay, low downtime, almost no downtime.
That's true.
Okay, I think the rules are very simple. It's a very 12-page rule book.
Yeah, I think
there's no player elimination. As soon as anybody's eliminated, it all stops.
And it's got wooden cubes.
It's got wooden cubes as its components.
Yep.
Let me finish. It doesn't have a point system. You either win or you lose.
That's true. Yep.
So it falls down on that.
Yep.
There's no open conflict.
Right.
And it is a relatively short game. It usually lasts around 90 minutes to 2 hours.
I think
except for that point system.
Yep. And every game has a little falling down somewhere. I mean, right. So I agree. I think it is.
All right, I vote hybrid because the rules are not generic to the whole game. You have to know what the scientists do versus this person versus that person. So it's a little more complicated rules.
So you're saying you're thinking the rules are too complex in Pandemic?
Yeah. No, well, not too complex,
right.
but more complex than a typical
than say Agricola?
Well, the rules to Agricola aren't hard, but all those extra cards make it hard.
Same with that's the same thing though, isn't it really? But so Pandemic, so that's our votes. Okay, fine. So I think okay, good. What about
I vote yes.
Now what about Carson City?
I don't know
yes.
well enough.
I think Carson City is a Euro.
That's
even though there's like gunfighting going on. I think it is a Euro because it still feels like indirect conflict for some reason. Because Raef, you're building your own. No one can take away what you build. It's like your own little solitary system. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
But you can mess with people.
They can
with
foil
what they
you,
build.
like you can foil someone in Carcassonne, but they can't permanently mess you up.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that seems to fit.
Now, what about Agricola? Here's my Agricola. Here's why I feel like Agricola is not an automatic Euro. I think the player downtime for me is a big part of being Euro, and I feel like there's downtime in Agricola. I don't know why, but I feel like there is.
Okay.
And second of all, for me there is. So I was to read the cards over and over again. And second of all, I think the components aren't clear. I've said it before, which I think with part of a Euro is very, very clear components. Maybe that's what I mean by components of the Euro. Not so much that they look beautiful, but they're clear and easy to understand. And I think the length of the game is really long, which for me, I think Agricola can go pretty long. So what do you think, Ranger?
Well, no, I mean all those things are true, but to me they don't rule out my definitions of the Agricola. So it's got the solitaire, the no player elimination. Actually, where I thought you were going would be that the rules are complicated.
Well, they are complicated
because the cards.
Right.
I don't think of them as part of the main game, and maybe they're not. If you argue that if you play the base game, they're not, because I actually tell you not to use the cards. But I guess the minute you put the cards in there, the rules can get pretty complicated.
Yeah, I would say. Well, if Pandemic's a hybrid for the fact that each player's got one card that's different, Agricola is a hybrid because it's got a bajillion cards that are all different, right?
But to me, it's Euro.
Okay, Craig, what do you feel like Agricola is Euro or non-Euro?
I feel like it's Agricola. I feel like Agricola is Euro because I have an allergic reaction to it.
There you go.
Craig's still got it. You've got this little thing where if it's Euro, you're probably not going to like it. I understand that.
Well, I go in with I go in with a bias. That's true.
That's fair. All right.
And but we've established that I like a whole bunch of these games that we say are Euro.
Right.
So I'm not entirely closed-minded, but I do.
I think you like Euros more than you think you do.
No, I think there are lots of Euros that I like, but it's easier for me to define why I like the ones I like rather than why I don't like the ones I don't like.
I'm trying to pull Agricola out of there so it can be better for Euro definitions worldwide. I'm trying to prove the Euro average.
That would swing the scale.
If I call it
this reminds me of like what biologists do when they're looking at genus and phylus and stuff. They're like, but if we
All right, so we're running out of time, but quickly, what about Dungeon Lords? What do you think?
Euro.
Yeah, I think that's Euro.
All right.
That could be almost anything.
Here we go. Merchants and Marauders.
Not Euro, but it fits all the definitions of Euro.
Except for conflict.
I don't think it does.
Except for direct conflict, which we said, if direct conflict makes it... I think it's kind of a hybrid.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You can fight each other. I keep forgetting that.
It feels hybrid-y, though, to me, because there's some nice short downtime elements to the game, and it feels Euro-y to me. But it's not a Euro.
I think it's an American game that has benefited from interaction with Euro games.
True hybrid.
Yeah. What about Galaxy?
It's a true hybrid. I think it's a much more American.
Yeah, the theme's very tight on it, too. That's what makes it more American.
The theme is extremely tight.
What about Galaxy Trucker?
Tile placing game, not Euro.
Well, dude, Carcassone's a tile placing game.
I don't agree that Carcassonne is.
What?
So.
How? Okay, wait. When we started this thing, and the very first game we listed is definitely Euro was Carcassonne. You totally agreed.
Well, it fits the definitions, but it doesn't feel it in my gut.
So so Galaxy Trucker fits the definition and doesn't feel it in your gut?
Galaxy Trucker.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
You're saying Galaxy Trucker is not Euro because Carcassonne's not Euro.
It fits the definition, but to me, it's a tile placing game, which somehow aren't Euro. Just like Ticket to Ride is neither. It's a rail building game.
What about Alhambra? That game is as Euro as it gets, and that's also a tile placing game.
I don't know that game. Is that the storytelling game?
No, it's like Carcassonne but different. Wow. I think it's totally Euro. To be honest with you, what do you think, Ray?
I think it's totally Euro.
Even though it's got a lot of plastic bits, I think it's very Euro.
Yeah, but all the plastic bits are very generic looking and kind of lumpy.
And what about Chaos in the Old World? I wouldn't want to talk about this one. Is this like Small World? But
I thought we already said it was a hybrid.
Yeah, okay, we did. What about Stronghold? I really wanted to get to Stronghold.
Sounds Euro to me.
Stronghold's one we just reviewed. It's a huge castle assault, and it's definitely got player conflict, but it's got really low downtime. It uses a lot of innovative Euro mechanics, and it's got lots of wooden cubes.
I think it's probably the closest to a true hybrid we've got on the list.
That and Shogun. I think both those are true hybrids.
Yes, I agree, yeah.
Whew. Well, what do you think? Did we miss anything?
I think that after all of this time, what we've agreed upon is you can't really agree upon definition for Euro.
I think we narrowed it down. Every time Russ said it has low downtime, I cringed. That I don't buy into that definition at all.
Right, exactly. See, and every time you said it can't be Euro because it's a tile placing game.
I cringe too.
But I will admit that it does. They do fit the definitions.
Yeah,
I think what we have to do is we have to just say we know it when we see it.
Yeah. I think you're right. We do know it when we see it, although we don't know it always when we see it.
No, exactly. And we know a hybrid sometimes when it's not a hybrid.
But somewhere that must mean somewhere in our unconscious or something that's like no, yes, no. But what's making that decision?
But we do disagree on certain games, like we all don't agree on Carcassonne or Agricola.
Yeah, but I'm just being
or Galaxy Trucker.
Craig's the better one was Founding Fathers.
Yeah,
that's a true oh yeah. What do you do with that?
Yeah. Maybe. All right, well, that's Euros.
Or not.
Or not.
We will pass through the American patrols, past their sonar nets, and lay off their largest city, and listen to their D6 generation while we play our Russian board games.
Dice are our vice.
Hey, Russ, guess what?
What?
I'm wondering, do you think anybody could possibly put a tour together to find Raef?
No.
I don't think so. But you know who could put a pretty darn good tour together is Geek Nation Tours.
Our brandy new sponsor, Geek Nation Tours.
One of the brandy new sponsors on this brandy new packed show.
Right.
And, of course, you can hear Teras from Geek Nation Tours talking all about it. But we'd like to just recap really briefly because there are some amazing things that he's pretty much already sold us on.
Right.
If we can put them together.
Let's talk Star Trek.
Why don't you take the first one because that's totally up your alley.
Right. The Star Trek convention in Las Vegas, baby.
Las Vegas, baby.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
What
even the
happens
Ferengi.
on Deep Space Nine stays on Deep Space Nine.
And this is August 9th through 15th.
Yep.
Biggest Star Trek convention in the world.
And
it's especially big this year because it's the 45th anniversary of Star Trek, of course.
Also featured in the movie.
Yes.
What was that movie?
Okay, good. Featured in that movie.
Fanboys.
There we go. Yes, right. And you get an exclusive how to get the best out of your Star Trek Con welcome dinner for tips for young Trekkies. Private tours of the Grand Canyon also, and river rafting or Area 51. Your choice of any one of those three things.
That's right.
And you get to geek out with people of a like mind and sharing the same passion, which is just awesome.
You can't put together a cooler trip than that.
Go to that
You're
one.
a Trek fan.
Yeah, and also there's what's up? What else is coming up, Craig?
Well, you've got PAX Prime, which is way cooler than PAX East.
Because it's the first one.
Because it is the first one, thus the Prime.
Right.
That's August 29th. 23rd through the 29th. So these are coming up quick. You want to book them now if you can.
Yep.
And it's a huge computer gaming convention full of speeches and panels and exhibitor booths and tourneys and free play areas and all kinds of other
they've
cool
added
stuff.
miniature board games too this year, so it's awesome.
Yes, they introduced board games and didn't they? They had some miniature games too, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yep. So all kinds of gaming now.
Yep.
And of course, not just the con, because this is a Geek Nation Tours tour, so you're going to get a whole bunch of other stuff like Pike Place Market and the Boeing Museum of Flight and the Science Fiction Museum, even a really cool Romantic Cruise to the Harbor tour.
Yeah, but the Science Fiction Museum has a full-size Viper.
That's right. Now. You can't really beat a full-size Viper.
You can't. And you get to go to the Sarcastic Gamers Paxtra Life party.
That is the party of parties at PAX.
Sarcastic Gamers is a great podcast, and they have great parties wherever these cons go.
And of course, possibly the biggest selling point is the fact that if you, as an individual, want to go to PAX right now, you can't because it's already sold out.
Right.
But Geek Nation Tours already has the tickets put into the part of the cost of the tour.
And be sure to check their website for upcoming tours in 2012, such as the Adepticon Tour, the Miniatures UK Tour, and Essen 2013.
Essen 2013, baby.
Check out Geek Nation Tours.
Yee, get your geek on. This Did You Ever Notice is brought to you by Matt Rendar, who wants to give a shout out to his lovely wife Diana of 8 years and to his 3 wonderful kids, Kyle, Luke, and Savannah, for their love and support of a gaming manic dad. And thanks D6G, keep up the great podcast. And thank you, Matt, for all your support throughout the years. Did you ever notice how when someone goes through all the time and effort to put together one of those funny or not so funny images on the internet, like scenes from TV shows or movie posters, but the person has photoshopped new logos or witty or not so witty lines onto the image? Well, I've lost my place. Oh yeah. Ever notice how when a person does that, someone else almost immediately jumps onto it, changes the words a little bit or the image a little bit, and the next thing you know, they're everywhere? Well, apparently nowadays we call those memes on the internet. Merriam-Webster's defines a meme as an idea, behavior, style, or usage that spreads from person to person within a culture. They spread ideas and concepts from person to person, rather like a gene, for which they were sort of named, spreads genetic material. Historically, the term comes from the early 20th century of the word nem or neem, which means memory, referring to things that are passed along outside of an individual's mind. And then in 1976, the biologist Richard Dawkins coined the term meme in his book, The Selfish Gene. Of course, that was long before the internet. To give examples of memes before the internet, you had advertising jingles passing along information or just the info about the ad itself over and over again. Jokes as they get passed along. Nursery rhymes. One of my favorite conspiracy theories. Many theorists in this field even say that racism itself is a meme. And of course, once something that has been around and studied by academics long enough, you can then just go right ahead and tack a meta in front of it. Meta memes, of course. Well, that's a meme about memes. And that, I believe, is pretty much where we are today. But the reason I was moved to talk to you today about memes, Pete, a very good friend of mine from the way back, sent me a whole email of Ned Stark is stupid images. They use a still ad image from HBO of Ned Stark on the Iron Throne, and they then each have superimposed over the image like a movie poster their favorite shortcomings of the poor Lord of Winterfell. As just one example, your daughter tells you that there's a massive conspiracy afoot to kill you? Lols. That's another thing. They often have misspellings or leet speak, as Russ says. And I'm going to leave the whole thing about Ned Stark alone because I think it's garbage. Guys giving it a short shrift. But anyway. So this email and the memes. Firstly, I seldom find them nearly as funny as I think somebody must. And second, there's a deep and abiding dislike, probably from my acting days, of the very concept of redoing a joke over and over again live, trying to get it right. To me, these memes are primarily just a way for folks who don't have a great deal of creativity to jump on a bandwagon and try to make a joke. Seeing them in a collection like the Ned Stark email really hits home. Just joke after joke based on the same image, trying to get the punchline right. Ugh. Part of me wants to say when you see something like that and it's funny, let it go. Make up your own if you want to, but let's just keep those repetitive jokes where only the punchline changes. Let's let them die a natural death, huh? But then I realize, what if the funny one I'm seeing isn't the original? What if the first one stunk on ice, and then there are a bunch of others that were mediocre at best, and then the one I liked was done? then I guess you could say that this particular meme evolved into the funny one, which is exactly what you'd expect, I guess, from a meme. So I guess when you get to appreciate the best of the best, like, for instance, a really attractive person, well, there's a bunch of monkeys and fish somewhere behind them. And that's why an email with a whole chain of these jokes, well, you're looking mainly at the monkey and fish jokes. So I guess I'm not against memes as a concept, just having to experience the entire string of evolution that results in the one joke that makes me smile. So go ahead and go add your 2 cents to those memes as they go floating around the internet. Just realize that the chances are you're adding another monkey fish onto the chain, but somewhere that monkey fish might just result in a supermodel, and then who knows what the limits are. So go ahead and add and add and add. Well, that's about all I've got for now. Thanks for listening, and good night.
Achievement unlocked! You've made it to the end of another D6 Generation episode, the podcast whose humor has universally been acclaimed as not too horrible. Please let us know what you thought of the show by either emailing us at info@the d6generation.com or by posting in our official D6G episode thread at the top of the DACA discussions forum on DACA.com. If for some inexplicable reason you actually enjoyed this show, you can help others find out about it by leaving positive reviews on iTunes. See you in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening, and happy gaming.
The theme from Total Fangirl comes from the soundtrack of The Last Night on Earth, the zombie game, courtesy of Flying Frog Productions, and is a composition of Mary Beth Magalanes.
You'll have some fun now with me and all the gang, learning from each other while we do our thing. Gonna have a good time.
Okay, now, you're quiet when we're doing the show, but when it matters nothing, you're screaming.
Yeah, I'm into it. I was into it there. I almost woke up Reese with Fat Albert. Sorry, my bad.